Hello, 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 and welcome to the Edge Radio Network. My name is Oscar Hines, joined by the beautiful Miss Dr. Kiva Davis. How are you, Doc?
That was nice. I'm good. Thank you so much.
Well, you are looking radiant as always, and this is a special occasion. Maybe
right?
that's why you are looking quite as radiant as you are.
Yes, I think so. That's what happened in the 10-mile run this morning.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I'm already scared of you, but we are talking about running of a different sort today.
Exactly.
We are talking about a voter registration drive that is happening live right now, folks, down at the Midtown Bar and Grill. Come on down. It is 415 West Gray, just off of Taft. We are going to be live all day today on the Edge Radio Network, but I'm super duper excited because we have with us a gentleman that has already started moving and shaking in this city. and I love it when that happens. Edward Pollard, City Councilman Edward Pollard is joining us. And it is a pleasure to have you here, sir. You have been, as you got appointed, you had a vision for what you wanted to do, and you wasted no time, I understand, in getting to it.
I mean, well, welcome.
Yeah, there we go. By the way, we have a live studio audience that are quiet as church mice. So let's get some energy going, right?
Yeah. Edward Pollard, Houston City Council member for District J, which is Southwest Houston. But yeah, I don't take my office for granted. It's a 4-year term. You don't know if you're going to get elected again, so I told myself I'm going to make the most of these 4 years while I'm in office.
Nice.
Yes. Outstanding. So, and that started right in January. So it might have been a little bit of a, like for everybody else, it was like this kind of weird dystopia that took place because 1 minute life was normal, 2020, new decade, new city councilman, and then 2 months in, all of a sudden, what were your thoughts when everything started going south like that?
You come into office having a vision and a blueprint of what you want to do for your community and for your district, and then out of nowhere you get hit with COVID-19. And if you would have asked me in January about the coronavirus, I wouldn't have known much about it.
Right.
And now our daily routines are surrounded with doing things for COVID-19. So a lot of our projects and initiatives that we have in the community are surrounded around the coronavirus. And so it's definitely taken over everything that we do. Even the way that we meet for city council, we do it virtually now. And we have a lot of processes and protocols that we must follow. And all of it's because of the virus. And so it's a new world for sure.
Yes. So in addition to the coronavirus, then we saw how everything, the trajectory of the world really shifted with the George Floyd murder.
Yeah.
And obviously that triggered a domino effect across the United States. Houston seemed to bear the blunt of that fairly well, but what was it like from the inside in that space?
Well, yeah, I mean, social justice is a huge issue at City Hall. I think the benefit for Houstonians is we are in the most diverse city in the entire country. And so we kind of know how to coexist with other cultures, other backgrounds, other faiths. And so it's a little different than some of the other cities that you may see on your national media. But here in Houston, we still have our issues as well. And we go back and forth with the police chief and the police department about reforms that we want to see. The mayor's actually put together a task force that should be coming out with recommendations in a week or so regarding police reforms that we'll have here in the city. Myself, along with some of the other Black council members, wrote the mayor a letter several weeks ago highlighting the need for a new independent police oversight board, as well as 25 specific recommendations that we think could bring meaningful policy change regarding police to the city.
Outstanding!
Nice.
Wow, are we liking that? Wow. I love that because this idea of police reform is educating police officers and helping them to understand, especially, and then this is personal for, I would say, all three of us on this panel of people of color, that when an officer walks up behind you and those lights are flashing, there is a deeper breath you take than perhaps someone that is melanated, right?
For sure.
It's not even flashing. Just as soon as you see someone, I'm sure that we're going to have a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder and a lot of issues after this.
Yeah, I mean, For us, we've all had our own experiences with police officers. We probably all have a story that we could tell. I know I do, and it's just unfortunate that our community and us as a people, we've been profiled and stereotyped as a certain way. Sometimes law enforcement and society as a whole looks at us as a threat, and that's just unfair because there's no basis in that. And so what we want to do with police reform is really just hold officers accountable and make sure that we have more transparency in the process. I don't think any of us are anti-police, but we're anti-bad police. And so what we want to do is put protocols and procedures in place to make sure that we are holding the bad apples accountable so that they won't continue to put a stain on our department.
Yes.
Yes.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah, especially saying we're not anti-police.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Sure.
we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big distinction. This notion that if you're calling for some reform, you're somehow anti-police. My brother's a police officer. I love him dearly, and
Yeah.
and the idea that his life is endangered because we have these sentiments that are starting to grow is tragic.
Yeah.
But to your point, Councilman, if you have a solid procedure and an understanding that the police will follow, and I'm sure some of those 25 initiatives that you mentioned are there a few of them that you can just point out that are common sense stuff or things that we should be thinking
Well, one
about?
of the things that I brought forth was an amendment through our budget process that's going to allow for the city to have an online dashboard where civilians can go and file complaints online about police misconduct. And you'll also be able to track other complaints, what area of town it happened, the race of the officer, the race of the one charged, demographics, age, everything. So you can start to track what's going on in the city. We also want the dashboard to house the police policy, their general orders. We want to know what the law is, what you can and what you cannot do, and so that we can educate ourselves. Because a lot of times there are a lot of assumptions out there, what you can and you cannot do, or what a police officer is allowed to do. So we want to be as transparent with the public as possible and have them have access to an online database that allows them to go in there and see that in real time.
Wow. Outstanding.
Nice.
Outstanding. Because I've heard it said more than once that we've had situations where a young black man would say, well, why did you stop me? Or can I ask why you stopped me? And that triggers a series of very aggressive moves from certain officers.
Yeah,
But technically, they should be able to ask why.
for sure. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things we put in our letter. One of the things we put is if you ask an officer who they are, why they're being stopped, they must give you their name, they must give you the department or the division that they're out of, and they must tell you why you're being stopped. Another thing that we put in the letter was police officers will not be allowed to tell a civilian that they can't use their cell phone at the time of the stop as well. Not only the person being detained, but also the other civilians that are on the scene. Because what we found is that it's not the body cams per se all the time that gives us a view of what's going on. It's people's cell phone footage that comes in.
Yes.
And so we want to make sure that the public is protected to know that they can pull out their cell phone anytime that they see an incident and start recording without feeling as if their rights are infringed on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Well, man, the audience is loving you, and and I have to. I see those smiles behind the masks. I see the thumbs up.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. Let me ask you this, Councilman Pollard, with regard to the voting and the empowerment of young people,
Yeah.
and how we can really create that dialogue. What conversations are being had out there? What do you think we can do to empower young people to get them engaged?
Well, when I talk to young people, especially about voting and being engaged in the political process, I break it down in very simple terms. If you were to watch elementary school kids at recess playing basketball, they would be all over the place. They would be traveling, double dribble, just throwing the ball here and there, because they don't know the rules.
Yes.
Okay. But as they get older and mature and understand the game, they start to learn the rules. It becomes more organized. Now they have schemes. Now they have defenses. Now they know what strategy to put in place to score the basket or to play defense. And so I tell people all the time that politicians make the laws. The laws are the rules of life. And if you don't understand the rules of life, you're going to look like the elementary kids at recess. They're just scrambling around, all unorganized. They want to score, but they don't know how, right? So you have to know the rules of the game. And if the politicians make the laws, then you need to know who your politicians are.
Right.
So this is an interesting thing that you can probably go to your church, or if you're at a family reunion or a get together, you ask people that are around you. Tell me who your school board trustee is. Tell me who your state representative is. Tell me who your county commissioner is. Tell me who your city council member is. Tell me who your congressman. If the answers are I don't know, which for most people it will be I don't know, then you already are behind the ball, because you don't know who's making the laws for your community. Parents talk about I looked at my child's textbook and it had some history in there that wasn't accurate, especially when it comes to slavery. Well, who's your school board trustee? You don't know who's writing these books, right? You're just going to the poll and you're just voting blanket based on maybe a D or R next to their name, but you don't know who these people are. So you have to educate your people or your friends and your family about who is representing them. And so for everyone listening, what you can do is go on Google and just type in who represents me, and you'll see a link that comes up that you can go on the website, and it'll ask you for your address. When you put your address in, it's going to give you all the list of all the people who represent you for your area. Then just go on their websites and check them out and see if they have your best interest. If they do, great, vote them back in. If they don't, find somebody else.
Amen. Well, that's
a good answer for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we were talking about, because voting is so crucial right now. And so how would, like, someone who's young saying, okay, well, I want to get involved. What are the first steps other than knowing who's representing me? Do you know any organizations that they can necessarily join, so that way they can start to get caught, involved?
I tell people all the time that, in this information age that we are now, with cell phones, you have access to information at your fingertips. So you just have to ask yourself, what are you passionate about? What do you want to learn about? You can go online right now and you can type in, let's say Houston Young Democrat, right? Just type that in the Google box. You're gonna see websites come up for different organizations that trigger that search.
Right.
And you can click on them and see, okay, is this something I want to be involved in? With hashtags on social media, you can put something like Houston Votes or Black Houstonians Vote, whatever. Just come up, just try different hashtags, go on social media, see what comes up. And whatever your passions or interests are, you'll be able to scroll and see if there's something that catches your attention, and just try to become involved. Shoot them a DM, show up to a meeting, But you have to educate yourself. You can't expect government or politicians to do all the work, right? You got to meet people halfway. And I think if we do that, then we'll push the ball down the field.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
You guys like that? Wow. That's outstanding. So I'll tell you what, Councilman Pollard, there's more I want to unpack.
Okay.
so are you okay with another 15-minute segment with us?
Yeah, let's do
Okay,
it.
so folks, you are listening to the Edge Radio Network here at Midtown Bar and Grill. We are live at 415 West Gray. We want to invite you all to come out for voting. Voter registration is happening right now live. You guys, if you are anywhere in the area, it's a beautiful, beautiful day, but there's going to be a live jazz band later. There's going to be a happy hour. There's an art show. There's all sorts of stuff going on. So we want to invite you to come out to 415 West Gray, voter registration drive. Folks, you're listening to the Edge Radio Network. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will continue our conversation with Councilman Edward Pollard. Back in a moment. Thanks.
大家好，我是傅凯，这是我的好朋友 Chris Holland。
I'm Chris Hollins, your Harris County Clerk.
Yes， 9月26号礼拜六下午4点钟以后，你可以到我们这个 Midtown Bar and Grill， 这是城中间有一个酒吧，我们大家来庆祝，我们可以来做选举，可以就是 register， 也可以注册，然后选举，然后我们有一些画展，有些音乐表演现场。 所以大家不要忘记了，最好赶快来参加我们的这个很好的节目，还有很好的意义。所以大家可以一起 见面谈一谈选票的事情，然后的话大家可以享受音乐、食物还有画艺术这方都集中在一起呀。不要忘记了9月26号礼拜六下午4点钟以后到10点。
Hope to see you there.
谢谢。
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
And welcome back to Edge Radio. Today is our voter registration, and we have our councilman here who's coming to talk to us about what's going on in the world of politics. So, you had some questions that
there's just some great initiatives that have been taken, but I wanted to stay on this piece that we were talking about just before the break. We're talking about the importance of having young people and them voting right now, and the power of that vote. But something you just mentioned, Councilman Pollard, that I wanted to ask you to unpack this a little bit. You were talking about how a lot of times there's just these straight ticket type of votes. But here's the number one argument that I hear from the Republican side of the aisle when they're talking to Democrats. They say, look, you all have been in power for 30 years and the neighborhoods haven't changed. The circumstances haven't changed. So you've heard that before, right?
For sure.
So
I agree.
Okay, so what's your thoughts on that?
I just think that when you think about the Democratic Party, African Americans, Black people, we're the only race that votes 90% one way. All right, Hispanics don't vote across the board one way. Whites don't vote across the board one way. Asians don't vote across the board one way, but Blacks do. However, our communities kind of look the same year after year. When you look at access to health care, when you look at jobs, when you look at education, we haven't really moved the needle a lot since the civil rights movement. Even look at home ownership. We're still kind of where we are. And so you have to ask yourself, are we really using our numbers for leverage within the party? And I don't think we are. I think we need to be a little more stingy with our vote to make sure that we aren't so predictable, and be a little more independent with our thought, and make sure that candidates and parties have a platform that speaks to us. And don't just come around when it's election season and show up to the church and say that, you know, we're going to do this, that, and the third.
Right?
Yeah. You need to see, what have you been doing? What track record can you show that you have made a imprint in our communities? And we need to hold them accountable for that. We're so hard on our police officers and wanting to hold them accountable. We need to hold our politicians accountable as well. And I think if Black people were able to be more independent and not as predictable as other races, then you would see our communities thrive a little more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that all stems from like you said, from education. Because if you don't, a lot of times you do things based on generational. And if Big Mama said, just go vote Democratic,
Yeah.
And you go, okay, you just immediately do it, and
Yeah.
it's that lack of understanding. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, it's more than just a party. You know, I think we have to get away from the parties. As a city council member, I'm in a nonpartisan seat. So when people show up to the poll to vote for me, we didn't have a D or R next to our name. You just had to vote on the person. And you look at the character of the person, the message of the person, how, you know, have I seen this person in my community before? You know, that's what you should look for. I wish that was the way it was for everything else. But we live in a two-party system, and although we live in a two-party system, we still have to hold each candidate accountable. So I tell people around election season, you need to go and get the sample ballot, see who's on there, and then do your own research. Go to their Instagram page, go to their website, check them out. You know, sometimes you want to just skip the race. If the Democrat and the Republican aren't speaking to your values, skip the race. But you want to make sure that you're not just being taken for granted.
Right.
And that's the message that I really want to speak to all people. You know, your vote is your voice. And you should really take that seriously and put people in office that truly represent you.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because you're speaking to a very important issue, I think, Councilman, when it comes to, you know, there's some things that are frustrating when you're John Q. Public. One of those is to have career politicians that go to Washington whose kids get absolved from paying back their student loans, who have the best medical care in the world, unlike most American citizens, who have all of these bonuses and different vacations and raise increases. And these are people that are there for 30, 40 years, and nothing gets done. But the public is paying over and over again. So, you know, if you actually dissolve the parties, that would be one thing, and you voted on issues. Because it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I have the exact composition of District J that you represent in front, but African Americans, people of color, tend to have a lot of conservative values.
For sure.
Very.
So, yeah, I mean, we really do. I'll tell you a little bit about District J. District J is Southwest Houston, which is Gulfton, Sharpstown, Westwood, Brayburn, and Alief. If you're in Houston and you're on 59 South, it's everything between 610 and the Beltway. We are the most diverse district in the entire
huge.
city, and we're the most densely populated. And there were 8 people in my race. I was the only black person. I won that race without having won a predominantly black neighborhood in the entire district. And the entire district is about 200,000 people. And it was because we went around and we knocked on doors and we talked to people. It didn't matter if they were Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, old, white, young, white, black. We talked to everybody, and we wanted to just listen and hear from them what their issues and concerns were. And we were able to see that since it was a nonpartisan race, people were more receptive and open to hearing your ideas and us hearing their ideas. And there was a mixture of blocks of votes that we were able to get on both sides of the aisle. And I think that just comes with engagement. And so we sometimes have to get away from just the parties and figure out ways in which we can find some common ground. Because if it's always going to be a me versus you, them versus us, tit for tat type of political system, then we'll never get anything done.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, it becomes a zero-sum game because everybody on this side, either the other side has to lose for this side to feel good.
It becomes politics.
Yeah.
It definitely becomes politics.
But you know, I remember, I guess I've got the grayest hair on this panel right now. I remember a time where political partisanship was there, but there wasn't this animus. There wasn't this sort of acrid, angry, like, you know, we're going to get
from
them.
the top. When the leader of the free world puts out divisive rhetoric, and he puts out harmful comments, and he puts out this vibe of division and me versus you, it trickles down, right? And it's bad for politics. And that's the most important part about November 3rd. Is we'll have a chance for new leadership at the very top. And if we could change the leadership at the top, I think it'll trickle down.
Wow,
Yeah.
outstanding. That's fair. Yeah.
and
that's
you know,
very
there's another thing, even with social media, it's positive and negative at the same time. because they'll keep feeding you the same information. Whenever you look up something on Google,
The algorithms.
that's what they're going to always show you. So
Yeah.
you don't really get that idea of what's going on the other side. You
For
only
sure.
get your information.
So, sometimes when I go and ask friends that may be on the other side of the aisle, and I see their Instagrams or their Facebook pages, it's completely different than
Right.
the messaging that I'm seeing on mine, and it kind of traps us into a box, right? And it's dangerous to be in a box. I try to be as open-minded and creative as possible with all the initiatives and the things that we bring forward, because we live in a society with different mindsets, different perspectives, different backgrounds, different ideology, and you should have an open mind and a mutual respect for others to be able to hear a counter viewpoint, try to grow from that, and then move forward together. You don't always have to agree on everything, but you should have enough mutual respect to be able to sit down and have a meaningful discussion about change.
Yes. Amen. And well said. I see why you were loved in your district, sir. Wow. This man's a beast.
Right.
Okay.
Because actually, it's just for the citizens. You can tell that you really care about people.
Yeah. At the end of the day, when I knocked on doors, we were out there day after day, street after street, but it was a job interview at every single door.
Mhm.
And I had to go and tell them that I want to work for you. And I think politicians sometimes forget that we are the employees. You all are the employer. We work for you. And you can't work for someone without talking to them and understanding what they need from you. And so make sure you hold your elected officials accountable. And that's what voting is all about,
Yes.
right? And that's why we should not just get excited and amped up, a month before the election. This is something that goes year round, 12 months out of the year. We should be doing things to make sure that our communities are engaged and informed on the issues that matter most.
Absolutely.
Well, one thing you can say is that people are more engaged now
Yeah, I think because
than ever before.
we have a 24-hour news cycle that's always keeping you informed about what's going on around the country. Then you have social media. So every time you get on your phone and start scrolling, you're getting information that, years ago no one would have really had access to. So you almost have to be dead not to at least have some type of awareness,
That's
and drive some type of emotion.
Yeah, well,
And
you
sometimes
mentioned
gotta
a,
push
you
your weight
mentioned
just
a,
a little bit too.
you mentioned
Yeah.
a 24-hour news cycle. Now it's like 60-second news cycle with Twitter, right? All it takes is send. So how can folks get involved? How can they get involved with your administration, some of your initiatives? As we wrap up, how can they get connected to you?
Yeah. Well, we try to put a lot of information on social media. We think that's where most of the eyeballs are. And so you can go to my Instagram page, which is edwardpollard.esq. And you can also find me on Facebook at Edward Pollard. And we put a lot of information out there about different community initiatives, events, projects that we have going on in the community, a lot of different volunteer efforts that people can join in and do. And the more the merrier. We want to make sure that people feel like they're a part of the process, that they're engaged, and that we're working together. It shouldn't just be all my ideas that I'm pushing. It should be all of our ideas.
Yes, excellent. Councilman Edward Pollard, we want to thank you for joining us. We want to thank you for this incredible information and the initiatives that you're taking in the community. We're proud to have you here at Edge Radio, and we're looking forward to a return visit, because there are some additional initiatives that you're undertaking that we would love to hear about. So we want to thank your administration and the mayor. We know you guys are working hard. We know you're working through a lot, and we thank you for that. Do you all want to show your appreciation, send that love to these guys?
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. All right, folks, you are listening to the Edge Radio Network. This is the voter registration drive today, September 26th. Folks, come on out. It is 415 West Gray. We have a huge live studio audience, socially distanced. Don't panic, with masks. But come on out. We want to invite you to come out. We want to thank Councilman Pollard once again. Folks, stay tuned. We'll be back with the Edge Radio voter registration drive shows in just a moment.
America was established by immigrants, for immigrants, those who came to escape religious persecution, bigotry, and hatred. Visionaries who came to start a life of freedom, but somehow we lost our way, enslaving people of color, destroying the land and culture of the indigenous people, and claiming ownership of land that our Creator made for all people to enjoy.
What have we learned in 400 years? Sadly, the sickness of the past still plagues us in the present. Until those who choose to hate stop fearing anyone different from themselves, the disease will persist. But there is a cure. We must realize.
I am the same as you.
I bleed the same blood.
I cry the same tears.
I laugh the same laugh.
I love the way you laugh.
And want to be accepted just as you do.
I may not be the same skin color as you.
And I may not pray to the same God.
But I am enough.
But I am enough.
But I am enough.
Enough to be heard.
Enough to be respected.
Enough to be loved.
Enough to be equal.
Enough to make a difference.
I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough. I am enough. I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough.
Change is up to you. No matter your age, race, religion, or sexual orientation, take a stand. If you're in the presence of someone spewing hate from their heart, say something. Be vocal. Don't stand for that kind of ignorance. True change cannot be achieved with silence. Educate your family and friends who want to help but aren't sure how. It's time to stand up and become the change we want to see in the world. Together, we can make a difference.
And we're back with Athletes United Experience on Edge Radio, and where truth still matters. As a side note to our viewers, the Art and Jazz Fest voter registration drive, and as we talked about this earlier, will be held right here at the Midtown Bar and Grill, September 26th, beginning at 4 p.m. That is the Art Jazz Fest voter registration drive. So come on out, prepare to complete your civic duty, and vote your consciousness. Okay. As we broke, we're talking to Dr. Crystal Mark here, and she had
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Welcome to Edge Radio Network. Here it's Saturday. We're having our voter registration drive down here at 415 West Gray Street. Come on down. You got an opportunity not only to register, you come down to the bar and grill, get something to eat, and then come up here and hang out with the great people. We've got a small studio audience, and we are socially distancing. So come on down, and you have a great time just hanging out with the people. And I'm honored today to have, by the way, I'm Carlin Charleston, the Executive Director of Erase Race. And I've got a weekly radio show here at Edge Radio, Talk About Unity. It happens on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. So tune in and catch that. And a lot of good information being shelled out there. But today we've got, as a guest here, we're talking some local politics. We've got Prairie View City mayoral candidate, Miss Johnnie Walker. And to me, it's because I'm originally from Prairie View, Texas, but spent a lot of time away, so it feels like having home folk back. And so I'm glad to have her today. And we're going to ask her some questions, but I first want you to get a little taste of who Miss Johnnie Walker is. So we're going to ask her to go ahead and introduce yourself, give us a little of your background.
It's great to be here today, and this is a very important election year for us. It's important for us both nationally as well as locally. I am Johnnie Walker, and I am from Prairie View. My husband and I been residents of the community for probably about 50 years. As a matter of fact, this young man was one of my first students when I started teaching.
So if I mess it up, y'all can blame her. If I mess this up, you blame her.
Yes.
I'm proud of it.
I graduated from Prairie View with my first degree in elementary education. I have a master's in education, and I have a mid-management certification. My resume starts off with 35 years in the public sector as an educator. The last 15 of those years, I was a middle school administrator. Upon retirement, I stayed home for about 6 months, and I realized retirement was not for me. So I started working at the university with the Alternative Certification Office. It was a wonderful experience because what we did, we were able to certify people who were not in the teacher track to become teachers. Our program was outstanding because we had the highest in the AN system, the highest number of minority men in science and mathematics. We were known for that. We would meet our students. They would be working at Enterprise or at the restaurants, and we could always tell a Prairie View graduate because it was something about them that was special. So now we have many of those young men and women out in the field as counselors, a couple of superintendents that went through our program. I stayed with that program for about 10 years, and then we got a new dean, and she changed directions. In the meantime, I was working with the retired teachers, Texas Retired Teachers Association. I served as the president of our local chapter for 2 years. And when that 2 years was up, I was elected president of the district. Our district had 18 units, about 4,000 members. East Texas, could I say more? But it was a good experience. I did that. After that part, I was elected to work on Prairie View Economic Development Board. I'm presently working with that board now. We are trying to move Prairie View forward. If you have gone to Prairie View lately, especially for homecoming, you can see all the growth. We are on the west end of Houston. Property is very important, it's very valuable, so we have a big movement going on. When I'm mayor of the city, I want to make certain that we have a plan. I want to see Prairie View be like the Woodlands. I want a gated community. I want sidewalks, I want parks, but that's going to require planning on our part. We just can't let things happen. When you let people come in and put businesses where they want to, it's not a plan. I want us to be just like Fairfield or the Woodlands and have a plan for that. We need amenities there in Prairie View. Presently, Prairie View is a unique place in that we have the university, and the university students are able to vote. On one end, we have the university, students who are voting. On the other side, we have the residents who are paying taxes. The politicians there have learned that we can get the students to vote for us. We can become councilmen in the city. So my biggest obstacle now is to get up there with the students and advise them as to what we're doing, invite them around the table to be a part, because we got to make certain that when we elect our councilmen, that they don't implement different kinds of rules and taxes that's going to impact the community people who are there.
Let me ask you about that. You've got a couple of different tasks there in Prairie View, because Prairie View is always kind of in the news of especially during election season, because you've got, seems like, a couple of issues. You've got the issue of what's going on with Prairie View seated in Waller County, and then you've got the issue of what's going on with the city and the university there. So you've got kind of some dual efforts there. So I want to get to that, but also I want some background on what got you into now, because this, as I know, this is your first time as a mayoral candidate in Prairie View. What has been the impetus? What is the drive for you to do that? And then let's cover that other issue.
One night after one of our city council meetings, which was kind of hostile, we have what my pastor calls the sidewalk conferences. Mm-hmm. And it came to our attention that we didn't have a local resident on the ballot. And we decided that we could not be so complacent that we were not going to be interested in the leadership of our community. So my friends kind of all looked around, and lo and behold, they asked me if I would do it.
Oh, okay.
And my first remark to them was, yes, I will do it if you will support me during the election and come around the table after the election. Because a city cannot be run by one person.
Right.
It has to be a conglomerate of everybody there. We need to have a shared vision. We need to all be thinking of what we want our city to be like. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that I hope to do, is to, and I think I can do this, reorganize our community people, get focused, involve our churches, our schools, and get ourselves moving. We don't have to be anything other than a first-class city. Mm-hmm. We are supposed to have the best of everything. And as the mayor, that's what I'm accustomed to. That's what we're going to strive for.
Okay. And Prairie View, I'd like to say too, on that education front, Prairie View, as you being an educator, and my mom's an educator, and Prairie View is built on education. The city, and Frank Jackson will give you that whole history of Prairie View as the educational basis. And people are kind of frustrated that hasn't transitioned the city into something more progressive these days. But looking lately, it looks like Prairie View, because I've noticed some things that are happening there. How did that happen, and how do you continue that as mayor?
Well, I think what happened is that each time we changed leadership, I've noticed that one person had things going pretty smoothly. Then when we got a new mayor, he comes in with a different agenda. And after his 3 or 4 years up, we get something else. What I want to do is to involve the 3 mayors that we have at Prairie View, to get them around the table, because all of them brought some wonderful things to the city. Mm-hmm. We need to build up on those ideas, and that's one of the things I want to do.
Okay. Yeah, and that's so you're talking about the consensus building that's necessary for you all to go forward, using the benefit, the knowledge of those who have gone before.
Certainly. So
that we can continue and move forward.
Right.
So all right, let's get back to that campus challenge. How do you, bring in that university crowd so that they are a productive part of the city? And how much contention is there right now between the city and the university?
Well, last year we were faced with some problems because of the housing part of it. And I don't have a solution as to how I'm going to build that bridge. Mm-hmm. But I know we will need to bring the leadership team from the different organizations. We need to develop an advisory committee where we have the leadership team from the university to come and meet with the mayor in the mayor's office, so that monthly, so we'll know what is going on, what are the students' concerned. I think that's the breakdown right now. And that's one of the things I would like to do, to get, like I said, the presidents of the different organizations, mm-hmm. and get them around the table when we have discussions. I feel very strongly, being in the public school system, I feel very strongly about having a chart where we meet and discuss issues. The solution should not be one person alone. It has to be all people involved in the solution. And so I know it's going to be a challenge, but I think I'm up to it. My husband was one of the part of the 14 families in Prairie View. And when in the old days, we would say we're going to build our home on the farm. But now my grandkids say we're on the Walker Estate. We've been, they said the 150-acre estate of the Walkers. So we have a legacy there at in the city, and we want to make certain that that we leave something behind for my grandkids to be proud of. We, like I said, we want a first-class city. We don't want anything less. We're going to have to hire us a city planner to do these things. Okay.
I've also noticed in Prairie View a couple of times driving up Old Washington Highway over there, whatever. There seems to be some industry, and is there great revenue to be made off of some of the industry there that's in Prairie View and some of those places that are back off of the main path there?
Let me tell you what I've discovered about Waller, which is the adjacent town to Prairie View. They will put industry so close to Prairie View, but not in Prairie View, so we don't enjoy any of the benefits. But we have our property, we have that 150 acres, and we really don't want to have industry there. We want a planned community on that part. But what we're looking at doing is bringing in a Fortune 500 company such as Amazon or something like that. And what that would do will enable some of our college graduates, our engineers, our business majors, who can afford to pay for a $200,000 or $300,000 home. That's the kind of people that we're wanting to attract to Prairie View. So we're going to have the amenities, the homes, and things. But right now, I've been speaking, even though I'm not the mayor yet, but I'm going to still be involved in the city one way or the other. But right now, we're looking at possibilities of getting an Amazon or an HEB to relocate to Prairie View.
Oh, okay, great. Hey, I really appreciate you coming today because I'm an original PVite, PV Panther, I guess you'd say. Born and raised there, spent all that time there, and really to see the city where it is and continuing to grow. Of course, my dad's still there, and I'm there every weekend. And when I see you, it brings back those old memories. And there's a lot of push that I think needs to be made to keep Prairie View moving forward. It's been a great city, great history. I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank Edge Radio Network. And we have an opportunity. Hey, get in tune with what's happening there in Prairie View. Prairie View is a different kind of animal when it comes to where we are, I think, as people, because they were an education hub before people started thinking about education. A lot of the things you find, and I've toured the country, and I realized Prairie View is an anomaly. It really is. And we've got some really positive things happening. So I want to thank my guest, Ms. Johnnie Walker, mayoral candidate for mayor in Prairie View, Texas. We thank you, Edge Radio, for the opportunity today.
And you can Google me, Johnnie Walker, for mayor.
That's Johnnie Walker. Thank you all.
That is.
Well, hello out there. Hey, my name is Dwayne Hines with Real Talk Real Estate, along with my sidekick,
Damian Hughes.
Hey, and we are the double D's of real estate. So look, if you're out there and you've been interested in owning a home, but you've been getting run around and you don't know how the process goes, hey, dial the number on the bottom of your screen. Give us a call. Get some real talk, real solutions on all your real estate concerns. We are the double D's of real estate.
Be sure to catch us every Wednesday on Edge Radio at 11:30 for Real Talk Real Estate. D. Hines, Damian Hughes, the double D's.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
And we're back with Athletes United Experience on Edge Radio, and where truth still matters. As a side note, viewers, the Art and Jazz Fest voter registration drive, and as we talked about this earlier, will be held right here at the Midtown Bar and Grill, September 26th, beginning at 4 p.m. That is the Art Jazz Fest voter registration drive. So come on out, prepare to complete your civic duty, and vote your consciousness. Okay. As we broke, we're talking to Dr. Crystal Mark here, and she had
The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and you know, sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information. And you know, my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. You know, I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay?
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
A retired Marine and former school teacher is spending his days on the road promoting unity.
His platform is to erase race, and he's trying to do that by traveling the country, visiting 100 cities, spreading his message one conversation at a time.
I was born and raised in Waller County, Texas, just northwest of Houston. As a child of the 60s civil rights era, I lived in a city that was probably 100% black at the time, and that city, Prairie View, Texas, had an educational background that far exceeded the national average. Because of this uncommon occurrence, I grew up lacking the sense of inferiority that many black people experienced as a result of segregation and the remnants of the Jim Crow era. In Prairie View, the smartest and most able and capable people the children of that city saw daily were always black. After integration in 1969, I grew up with friends from a variety of ethnic backgrounds, and this continued to expand as I went to college, and my circle of deep relationships continued to grow with football teammates from various parts of Texas and the country, and then expanded even more after I joined the United States Marine Corps, where my relationships began to include foreign cultures and people with whom I never envisioned communicating. Today, after having visited and lived in the continents of Asia, Africa, and Europe, I am convinced that we are all far more alike than we could ever realize. Something has hindered that realization for others. Here in the United States of America, we have been plagued for hundreds of years with a concept called race. This concept would have us believe that we are fundamentally very different and our skin color makes us so. Though anthropology, sociology, and medical journals continually refute this, many Americans continue to harbor the erroneous beliefs associated with race. This is what I'm here to change. Hello, I am Carlin Charleston, the Executive Director of Erase Race. We are a 501c4 nonprofit organization designed to remove race from our society and unite people across all demographics and bring them into the novel reality that we are all quite differently the same. That phrase may sound contradictory in itself, but it really makes sense. Once we understand our common origins from whence we all originate, then it becomes much more interesting to see how differently we have evolved in our geographic regions as one people. Erase Race began the work of unifying our country when I embarked upon a 112-city tour last June. Driving the Unity van from coast to coast and from north to south, the thrill of visiting the 48 contiguous states and meeting people I would have never met otherwise was simply amazing. From Baton Rouge to Boston and from Philadelphia to Phoenix, I became more American every day as I met the people that make up this great country, and that is where I want to take you. This is city number 76.
Shaking hands, visiting people and places, striving for unity as a human race.
It has really been phenomenal. Number one, to travel the country and go to different places in our country and meet the people is what most Americans need to do.
He said there have been surprising interactions, even poignant moments, stopping along sites of historic importance like the Liberty Bell and Harriet Tubman's home. He'll make his final stop in December, but his work will be far from done. Carlin's life is the American Unity Movement, and he's hopeful one day soon people truly won't be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
That's my vision, that we have people, and we can then respect people and live with people.
Yes. Happy Saturday today. This is Tony with the Tony Talk Show, and I'm so glad you're here listening to us today. We're doing a voter registration drive down here at Midtown Bar and Grill here in Houston, Texas. And what we're doing today is I've got a great panel of friends. I've brought some of my friends online today because what I wanted to do is I wanted to show a diversity. Look, we've got diversity here, all right? A little bit of diversity. Wanted to show some diversity in conversation, diversity in background, diversity in professionalism, and I wanted us just to have an open conversation about kind of where we are right now in our country, and then I want to hear you guys' opinion and ideas of what you think maybe we could do to collectively come together and become solution thinkers, if you will. I know right now there's a lot of fear in this world on so many different levels, and my philosophy has always been that we overcome by the word of our testimony. So what I wanted to do is I definitely wanted to bring you guys on because every single one of you have impacted my life in a great way, and every single one of you guys have kind of mentored me along the way as well. So I just wanted to bring you guys on so that we can make a connection to the audience and see what we can do to inspire and educate and motivate some people to register to vote and to make sure their voices are heard. And it's very, very important. And we always talk about how important it is to vote And it's to me, it's the same conversation every time, and not much changes. So at the end of the day, I think we need to talk about change, and we really need to look at it. We need to really look at it as a nation. We need to really look at it as a society, and also on an individual level, in my opinion. So my great friend here, what is your name again? No, Richard Flom. He's a great friend of mine. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself. And then I've got Robert. He's a friend of mine as well. He's the CEO, president of Heritage Roofing. We probably met in another lifetime, because when we finally met in the gym, that was kind of the divine appointment, wasn't it? And we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then I have an amazing, amazing young man. We met, what is it, about 3 years ago, John? 2.5?
Probably two.
At the gym?
Yeah. At least two.
Yeah, you were playing racquetball, and I was admiring your skill, right? And you came out of the racquetball court, and we actually had a conversation, and we really made a good connection, And, I want you to really tell your story as well, because when I first met you, you talked to me about the potential of who you wanted to be and what you wanted to create in this world, and you wanted to be an author. You hadn't written any books yet, had you?
Just one.
Just one.
When I met you here.
Yeah. How many have you written now?
7.
Since then? 7. Yeah. So you're moving forward with your message, and you're moving forward with trying to change the world and impact the world in a positive way. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. So Richard, if you would, take a minute and tell the audience who you are and what you do, and we're going to talk about your story a little bit more, because I think when they hear who you really are, they're going to be inspired to live a life of continually reaching to be better. So,
okay, my name's Richard Flom, and I'm an entrepreneur, and have been one for a number of years. But also, I'm a cancer survivor.
Yes, you are.
I was diagnosed in 1993 with a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma called mantle cell, which is quite rare, and given about 6 months to live. The disease to date takes people out in about 5 to 7 years. I'm going on 27.
27 years.
And, I've always been fairly aggressive, and I've always been involved in health, exercise, all the way through my life. I was actually getting ready for my 3rd marathon when I had shortness of breath, and I was diagnosed with mantle cell, which the cancer diagnosis impacts most people the same way in different degrees, because it changes your life.
Yes.
Because you now get a death sentence.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a line in the sand.
Well, to society, it's a death sentence, Richard. You're still with us after how long again?
27 years.
Yeah.
But there's like a line in the sand,
yeah.
And suddenly the rest of society's over here,
yeah.
And you get to go over here.
Yeah.
And you've got to deal with it. So if I went through that journey, I would consume all the time up here. But basically, I dealt with it on and off for 18 years with just remissions and then relapses. And then finally in 2012, it became really aggressive. I was in the hospital for about 2.5 weeks here at MD Anderson,
yeah.
And came out. I weighed 130 pounds, and I was told I would never walk again.
Yeah, yeah. Do you weigh 130 pounds now?
No.
Are you walking?
Running.
You're walking very well.
Running.
Matter of fact, yeah. And Richard's very humble, man. I mean, he's extremely humble. This guy is the D10 champion, and you've won the D10 at what age did you win that?
Well, I was at that time, the first time that I competed, I was 73.
Yeah.
And the divisions, they created a new division for me, but they would only go up to 60. So I took the 60 and over.
Right.
But the majority of people that I was competing with were in their 20s. So,
wow.
What
motivated you to do that?
The same thing that motivates me in life.
Right.
And that is, I believe that people give up on life when they start to say no. When opportunity comes in front of them.
Yes, we talked about that.
Interesting things. I think the the biggest aging factor to people is the word no. I'm 75 right now, and the guys I work out with are in their mid-30s and
that's where I met you in
20s.
the gym.
So I think in life there's one word that explains it, and that's the will. You have to have the will to do something. We all talk about where we'd like to be,
right?
But you have to have the will to actually execute.
Right.
And, you know, I've just been executing for a lot of time. I went through 3 clinical trials in 2012. 2 of them failed. One of them took about 50% of my renal function. And the third one worked. I was the first mantle cell patient where the disease had turned blastoid or aggressive.
What does blastoid mean? So everyone
aggressive.
Okay.
And
so it's pretty much all the way throughout your body.
It speeds up.
Right.
In other words, it's basically an indolent or slow disease until it kicks in. Then it becomes like a large B cell type of cancer,
right.
And it moves quickly, and it's very debilitating.
Okay.
Surprised my doctors because when I got into MD Anderson, I was running 103-degree fever.
Is that what brought you to Houston, Texas? Was
your
dysfunction you were dealing with?
My doctor at University of Michigan said, I got nothing for you, but I got a friend at MD Anderson.
Thank God for friends, right?
but the disease had always been slow moving.
Yeah.
I had gone into remission several times.
Yeah.
They weren't ready for the speed that this thing was moving at. So when I finally got an appointment at MD Anderson, took me from November until April to get to Anderson. When I got into Anderson, I had 103-degree fever, pneumonia, 2 pulmonary embolisms,
wow.
and 90% of my lymph system was compromised.
Wow.
Doctor walked in the room and he said, I could flip a coin right now. He said, normally we would treat the pneumonia and the blood clots, get you healthy, and then give you chemotherapy. He said, I could flip a coin right now, and I can't tell you which one's going to kill you first, and if I treat them both, I could kill you. What do you want to do? I said, have at it. So,
how did you feel in that moment where those two choices were so grim?
I've been dealing with it.
The moment.
I've been dealing with it for 18 years at the time.
Yeah.
There wasn't any hesitation.
Right.
You know, I mean, like.
So here you are with this in your rearview mirror now, and you're a businessman.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living? Your mom asking. I know what you do, but tell the audience, man.
Development, real estate development. I've been in a number of businesses, manufacturing businesses. I just went back to school recently.
Yes, we celebrated your graduation, didn't we?
Got a degree that I've been thinking about for years, but the impetus behind that was because I've always been a real estate broker, and,
right.
And Texas makes it really difficult. So the college degree offset a lot of the study, and I picked my broker's license up in May.
So what did you do? I mean, what is the next step for you? I mean, you're 75 years old, getting new degrees.
I'm going to build
running
company.
A business, not retired like most 75-year-olds that are sitting on the couch and saying, "Hey, let's get in the camper and drive across the country and plant some flowers." Right.
And,
what does your retirement looks like to you?
It doesn't look a whole lot different from what I've been doing.
Right.
I think you have to find the new horizons and you have to go after them.
Yeah.
I had a partner at one time. We were in New York, and he was more of an academic.
Yeah.
And we were in New York on a Friday night, and he said, "Gee, I'd like to go out, but I don't know all about life, and And I said, look down in that street. This is New York before the pandemic, and 5 o'clock on a Friday,
right?
Jam packed,
right?
And
absolutely.
I said, there's life, and all you have to do is go down and step into it, and it'll carry you.
Yeah.
But if you stay up here,
you're
never going to be in touch with it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much been my philosophy and everything. Go for it. What have you got to lose? The thing that amazes me through this whole pandemic, and this is where I think the vote that people make today is
Today
going
is
to
critically
be
important.
critically important.
Yeah. There's a lot of fear running this country right now.
That's exactly right.
Unfortunately,
between the politicians and the media,
yeah,
they have a country that's terrified. They're afraid to go outside. I was just at the club working out today, and I was talking to a young lady. She had her parents. She brought them down from Canada because they were afraid. They're in their early 80s.
Yes.
She said, my mom and dad will not go out of the house, and they will not leave and go into any place that's indoors because of the fear.
The fear.
And the problem is we just don't get the proper information.
Right.
We need a lot of things, but we need politicians to get up there and tell us actually what's happening.
Yeah. I'm going to ask the question as we move on. I want you to hold your answer.
Okay.
Okay. If you were voted president today, what is the one thing you would tackle? What would be the first thing immediately you would tackle? I want you to think about that. Robert, we talked about fear. We talk about fear all the time, especially with the history of us. We talked about where we've come from and the things we've overcame. You're a businessman. You own your own roofing company. You're very successful here in Houston, Texas. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself as well?
Well, my name's Robert Kosak.
Don't go too deep because they may run.
Long story short,
yeah.
I'm originally from Miami. I relocated here about 10 years ago.
Yeah. What brought you to Houston?
My kids actually came here with my ex-wife.
Excellent.
And she's from here.
Yeah. So you followed your family.
Yep.
So to
it was a
speak.
good idea to come, and I'm grateful for doing that.
I'm grateful as well. We would have never met until we did that, right? Yeah. So you're into roofing.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your company.
Well, we're storm restoration experts, along with certified roofing contractors. And even though there's no licensing in Texas, we do have licensing. We have certifications that we take through the manufacturer to ensure proper installation and whatnot. So it's good for the consumer to be educated about who's coming to your house and who's getting on your roof and what kind of qualifications do they have in references and all that.
Right.
So that's important.
And we've noticed a lot of, there's been some storm damage here in Houston, and we just had a kind of a little issue go up there up north, Galveston. So are you seeing a lot of damage here in Houston that you're helping folks with?
Well, a lot of people don't know that there has been an epidemic of wind and hail storms all through the state of Texas and all over America.
Right.
Where the insurance companies have been impacted, and now we've had a few hurricanes.
And I know you were down in Louisiana just last week. Down in Lafayette and Lake Charles area. You've seen a lot of damage down there, right?
Oh yeah, and we also started talking to the people. So the past two people that were on stage earlier, we're talking about at the door and the concerns of the community.
Right.
And that's what we've always been involved in. Is our mission is legacy, community involvement, and that's how I got into the roofing business.
I want you to, that word you use, legacy, we talk a lot about that. A legacy. What kind of legacy are we leaving for the next generation that's coming behind us? And I am on a mission every day of my life to make sure I am leaving a positive legacy for those that come behind me. And that's why I got involved in solar, of course, because I want to protect our environment and make sure that we're moving in the right direction with power and using power properly and responsibly. So that's why I'm doing what I do on a daily basis. And you, my man, John, I choose me. John, talk about that a little bit, brother.
Well, first and foremost, that's really the place that I came
John,
in my life.
if you don't mind, how old are you?
27. 27.
I want them to know you are a powerful young man.
Thank you.
Talk to us a little bit about why you became an author and what is your legacy you're trying to leave.
Well, first, the legacy I want to leave is inspiration. I want to inspire as many people as I can to show them that you can do anything that you set your mind to. I started writing 7 years ago, actually. I was 21 years old, 2013, September, actually 7 years this month. I've been writing books, and I started off journaling, just putting my thoughts.
Did you know you always wanted to be a writer when you were a child? Or
not at all.
Something that evolved into you as you lived?
It just evolved. Crazy thing, you probably wouldn't believe it, but I used to hate reading.
Are you serious? Now you're writing books, man?
Now I'm writing books. If you would have told me years ago I'd be doing this, I would have looked at you like you're crazy. But it's just amazing the turns that your life can take.
Yeah.
When you have the right person.
It's called
right
evolution,
message.
my brother.
Absolutely.
You're right. We talk about that a lot.
We
change. We're so
we
afraid of it, and it's just this COVID-19 thing is about change, Right now, we're talking about voting. We're talking about change, and we use that platform so much.
Yeah.
But then when it comes that time to change, people have a problem with it. They have a problem with changing the way they speak about their situation. They have a problem with changing the way they deal with other human beings in that moment of opportunity to change things.
Right.
So I know that's what you are about, because we talk about that all the time. So
We do.
how are you trying to inspire and change the younger demographic of folks that are going to be taking over our country as we move forward into this next era of our lives?
I'm just trying to inspire them to look. The gold mine is within you.
Ooh.
The power that you're looking for is in you.
Yes.
The gifts, the talents, it's all, you got everything that you ever desired is in you. So I want to use my life, my story, my message to show people that the prize ain't out there around you. It's right here.
It's
in your
inside of
mind.
you. It's all
Your power,
inside of you. We talk about that numerous times when people know who they are, when you really know who you are and you're confident in that and you don't compromise in that, you know, and it has nothing to do with being a Republican. It has nothing to do, has anything to do with being a Democrat. I have found in my life that most of the solutions of any problem or challenge that shows up in my life, it's in the middle. It's not to the left or to the right. I find when I live to the left or the right, I'm out of balance. And when I'm out of balance, I can't move forward properly, right? Judgment is another thing you and I have discussed. You know, right now, this country is full of judgment. We're full of separation.
Yeah.
We're judging each other. We're separated from each other. There's really no unity in the community. You know, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of separation. I'm seeing a lot of fear. I'm seeing a lot of doubt. And, you know, when you walk your life in that era and that energy, you can be easily manipulated. You know, we talked about that, Robert. You had told me, you know, some of the things you have been through in your life and how you overcame them. How did you do that? I know you've had numerous mentors in your life as well.
Well, mainly, I love your take on that. I mean, it's all down to our experiences.
Yes.
You know, what comes in our lives, and no matter what it is, I've learned over a period of time that it's all coming for a reason.
It is coming for a reason.
And it's all our story, and it's all our lessons. So I'll tell you.
But you know the thing that we can go even further deeper, because you and I, you know, when you say it comes for a reason, what's the reason? See, I ask question after question. I'm one of those guys that will take life and just peel it and keep peeling it and keep peeling it back until I find the solution to what I'm looking for. So when you say that, what do you mean by that?
Well, it seems like I'm doing nothing and everything's already been done. I'm just participating. I'm participating in a collective whole, and I can choose where I want to go.
Right.
And it's really crazy how we can have a crisis, create one, or the universe creates one, or, you know, whatever happens, because when you go to Louisiana and you bring a bunch of flashlights and batteries and gasoline and water, somebody who's standing in a house and they don't have any power, you know, all their trash is out by the front door and their roof's leaking and they don't even know what to do.
Right.
There's no talking about a pandemic.
You're not asking. Are you knocking on people's doors and say, hey, you know, are you a Republican or a Democrat before you ask to help them?
Nope. And they're just happy to see me because the first thing they do is look, and then they look over in your truck.
Yeah.
See if you might have something that somebody might have told you that they needed. So it's to fulfill the need, and you know the desires we really seek at the end of it all is helping other people.
Helping other people.
It isn't the fleshly, selfish desires we seek for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we learn that through our experience over time.
Right. Right.
We gather things, we get them taken away. We think they're valued, they aren't valued. Value is helping another individual.
Right.
Another human being.
Right. Right. John, question.
Yes.
You can ring it deep. You ready?
I'm ready.
How was your childhood, man?
Ooh. Wow, it was very impactful.
Yeah.
Very impactful, and this is why I write so much.
Yeah.
Because I'm the youngest.
Is that where your inspiration comes from?
So much of it. So much of it.
How many siblings do you have, bro?
It's 6 of us total.
Ooh. You the youngest, the oldest?
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest?
I'm the youngest.
Okay.
So I had a chance to watch my older siblings go through a lot, and as they got older, they passed things down to me, and I came up around a lot of older people, a lot of wisdom was poured, and so much wisdom was poured into me. That's why I can produce the way I do, because my mom, it moves different.
Right.
And that's why I go into that place. I have so many creative thoughts that the best way I could express it is put it in words.
Do you meditate?
I do.
We talked about that, right?
I do.
Robert, you meditate?
Every morning.
Yeah. Richard?
Constant.
Constant. Walking meditations, right? Everything.
Everything.
Everything is just kind of quieting your mind and getting into a place of focus where you can really create. You know, I always tell people, you know, whenever you're having difficulties in your life, you consider those things difficulties, but they're not. They're just times of opportunity to grow and to expand as a human being. I mean, that's what we're on this planet for, is to evolve and to become better. We're supposed to be becoming better every day, and, you know, and doing more every day and helping other people. So at the end of the day, I find that, you know, you really, and this world is so, it's so loud. It's so loud, you know, everything is so loud and in your face that we really don't have time to unplug anymore and go into that quiet space where you find your peace, where you find your answers, where you find your solutions, where you find your power to create the things that you truly desire. You know, so where were you at in your life when you wrote this book, when you said, I choose me? Were you not choosing yourself at one point in your life?
I wasn't, because I was putting
what did your life look like when you were living like that?
It was
compared
a mess.
to now.
It was a mess. All over the place. No clarity, no peace. And when you lack peace, there's something wrong. When I started choosing me, and it's not at a selfish note, it's just, let me just control the one thing the universe gave me control over, that's me. Let me get myself together so I can put myself in a position where I can help others.
Right.
How can I inspire other people if I'm not in a position of influence?
Right.
Or if I haven't gone through the process, overcame it, and I can talk to this person over here. When it comes to young people going through stuff and they're trying to find themselves, people are hurting. These are books of pain. My biggest inspiration was pain. I just turned my pain into art.
Right, man.
You know, I wasn't consumed, but I didn't just be consumed, turn to the drugs and all this other stuff. I said, no, I'm going to do something different.
Was there no temptation for you to go out there and do those things that were absolutely destructive to you and your future? Were there temptations for you to do that?
Lots.
Okay, so speak to that individual that's listening to you right now, that is in that pinnacle moment of his life where he could choose to choose himself or choose to do something that's destructive. How did you make that choice in that moment and said, hey, you know, how did you do that?
Well, first, I was around a lot of people who didn't make it to today, who lost their life because they were in those places. I was close to it, close enough to see, and I was with them walking on that same path. But it got to a point I said, well, for whatever reason, I was protected from that. I hate it.
What do you mean some other reason? You already know it was your grandma's prayers, bro.
Something bigger
grandma
than me.
prays for us, right?
Oh,
that's how you protected in those times where we're being idiots. I know that's what I was protected.
Yeah,
my grandma, my mama was praying for me when I didn't have no clue about who I was or where I was trying to go in my life. You know,
absolutely.
So you had some good people around you, I would assume, that
good people. Yeah, and in those moments you hear those voices in the back of your head when you're about to do something, but there's something pulling inside you. Say, you know what? Maybe need to reconsider.
Right.
Let's really think about this.
Right.
You know, because I never wanted to let an impulsive decision cost me my life.
Right. Right. Listening to your gut. You know, a lot of us, you know, we've been taught by society not to listen to our feelings and our emotions. And Robert, you and I, we've talked about that. That is actually the two tools that the universe gives you to guide you through your life. You know, I mean, for so many years, I did not pay attention to my emotions. They were all over the place. I didn't realize that it was energy. It's energy. It's focused energy, and you're all over the place. So you're all over the place. You can't focus yourself to get things done. And not only that, I wasn't mindful of my words. Every time you're speaking, you're making declarations every day. You can make conscious declarations or unconscious declarations. And usually those unconscious declarations get you in a bad place. You know, so that's why, you know, it's very important that in this moment, we're talking about voting. It's very important that we're not influenced by the wrong people. And it's very important that we do our research. You know, the gentleman that was here before, he was talking about the fact that, you know, you don't see politicians and leaders, city leaders and folks like that until it's time for election. You know, my wife and I, we talk about that all the time. It's like, you know, you never hear from them. You never see them until it's time for election. And they've got their signs in your front yard on the corner of your neighborhood. They're doing TV. You know, it's like, hey, come on, where were you at? You know, we put you in office, and I want to continue to see you. You know, I want to continue for you to be in front of the community. I want you to continue to talk about what your agenda is and how you're going to unfold your agenda and how that affects me personally and how that affects my community. I think that's very important that we look for leaders like that, that are actually really going to stand behind what they say in that time.
I think the biggest problem is we, the people, have allowed the leaders to run us.
Oh, absolutely.
As opposed to us running.
Absolutely. Listen, without the people, there is no government.
And it's
you know what I mean?
And it's all about the money and the power.
Yes.
And the only way to do that, and you said, what would I do? I was in charge. Term limits.
Absolutely.
Term limits would
Absolutely.
stop 90% of this.
Absolutely.
These big pharma, all your major corporations are making our politicians rich at the expense of the public.
Citizen. Absolutely. I'm seeing a major disparity right now. What's going on economically? I'm seeing the middle class shrinking tremendously, and I'm seeing the wealthy get wealthier. And I'm seeing those folks on the low end becoming more poor and in poverty, especially now in this moment where people are losing their jobs. Their finances are stressed. They're unhealthy. I mean,
you got kids graduating today with huge debt.
Yeah.
And no job.
Yeah.
No place to go.
To me, that does not speak prosperity, and I don't think we're going the right direction with that.
Absolutely.
I really don't. What about you, John? Do you think we're going the right direction with that? I mean, you're the youngest one on the panel here today. How do you feel about that?
It's troubled times.
It's troubled
times, and
Absolutely.
it's caused a lot of depression. And a lot of times, even through social media, these platforms, you see people that like they're living their best life, having fun. They show you the glory moments, the positive moments, but when the camera's put down and they go home by themselves with those four walls, it's a different story.
Yeah, we talk about that social commercial that we all wear, right? So here we go. Guys, we're winding down. So what I'd like for each one of you guys to do is just give a quick word of inspiration to our viewers and our listeners. What would you say to them in this moment when it's time to vote? What would be your message to them today, John?
Just know who you're voting for, do your research, and just choose the person who you feel that will give the most back to you, who will help you and your vision for your future, for a better future.
John, and you've got, just real quick, man, because I want folks to know about you, brother. You've got a couple books over there.
Yes.
What are the titles of those books?
Yes, this the phone you have.
Yeah.
I chose
I Choose Me.
Yes, that's my second nonfiction, but this is my very first book. Story about going to college, looking for purpose, overcoming obstacles, just trying to give young people some direction to focus on. I overcame. Then I started a series, which this was like the positives in these, but I talk about the darker themes of the college experience. So this is a multi-part dark scandal.
So you're talking
series.
about the light and the darkness.
Yeah, you both
and
sides.
That's great. Yes.
Creating a sense of polarity so you can get it from both angles.
Right. Absolutely.
Because we got to talk. Life has negatives.
Okay.
It has its downside. So I got Darkness of Mind, A Lovely Savage, In Your Mind's Eyes, I Beg for Mercy, and My Best Kept Secret was my latest one, which I just released. So 7 books total, and you can find them on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, Apple. So
that's how they can find you? They can find you on Amazon?
Amazon.
Okay.
I got the print book and ebook. And you can also follow me on Instagram, John M. Brown 93, and that's how you get in touch with me.
Excellent, John. Thank you so much for being there, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Word of inspiration, Robert. I know you got like a whole library.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. Anyway, we're fourth quarter people here. He's still in the first quarter.
Speak for yourself.
Hey, but I think a lot of us were raised on very different core values on what's going on today. I mean, we didn't see color growing up. We didn't have this. It was more a country united. Today it feels like a country divided.
Yes.
So today let's get out, right? And let's get personal and it's powerful to vote and do your homework to see who you're voting for in office. If we all could just turn around and come together, the whole energy would shift.
We talk about as businessmen, you inspect what you expect from your staff and the people that work for you, right? I think we ought to keep that same philosophy and mindset when we're dealing with our politicians, inspecting what we expect from our leadership and holding them accountable to what comes out of their mouth. I think we need to do that and start doing that as citizens. Word of inspiration, what would you say to your
individuality? Social media is groupthink. And we all get caught up in
groupthink. I love it.
And you've got to do your own research and follow your heart and your mind.
Absolutely.
You've got to be the leader of yourself.
Yeah. And I know I'm going to say this, and this is cliche, but it is the truth. Change starts with you. You want to change your community, change yourself. You want to change your nation, change yourself. You want to change your situation, change yourself. And that all will just naturally happen, right? Yeah. So guys, listen, again, we're here at the Midtown Bar and Grill. We're down here, voter registration. Please come down, Houston, Texas. We want to make sure that you are registered to vote. We want to make sure that you are taking this moment to use your voice to guide this nation to a greater level, and we all can do this together. And I totally believe that if we would just not live in lines of separation and judgment, I think we can come to a better conclusion and a better consciousness in this country. That's just my opinion. We want to thank you guys so much for being here to the Tony Talk Show. And hopefully we inspired you to get out and register to vote. Very important. Very important.
And we're back with Athletes United Experience on Edge Radio, and where truth still matters. As a side note, viewers, the Art and Jazz Fest voter registration drive, and as we talked about this earlier, will be held right here at the Midtown Bar and Grill, September 26th, beginning at 4 p.m. That is the Art Jazz Fest voter registration drive. So come on out, prepare to complete your civic duty, and vote your consciousness. Okay. As we broke, we're talking to Dr. Crystal Mark here, and she had
The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and you know, sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information.
And you know, my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. You know, I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay,
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Welcome to this podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Big Mel. I'm with Stevie Ray. Huh?
Hello, everybody.
Indeed, indeed. I'm typically the host of a lively hour called Athletes United, which we put on the Edge Radio Network, and I have to mention where truth still matters.
And I'm the host of the world's most dangerous radio show, Straight Shooting with Stevie Ray. Not as dangerous as the podcast, but very, very close. Very close.
That's powerful.
Because they let me do things like that. That's why they brought me in. They brought me to Edge to bring the edge.
They bring the edge.
Yeah, bring the edge.
And to intimidate,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's a little bit stiff.
To threaten various hosts.
I like that word.
Yeah, that's
threaten. Not intimidate.
Stevie Ray.
Yes.
Stevie Ray, listen. We have a condition right now, a social condition, if you will, and it's cultural. That affects the hearts and minds of all human beings.
Mm-hmm.
All platforms. For us, Catholics.
Yes.
What do you think of the cultural shift right now that's affecting athletes, and how urgency of BLM, hashtag BLM, affecting the social position of athletes in an unprecedented way, it seems?
Well, when it comes to the plight of the African American here in the United States of America, nothing is more prevalent than the athlete.
Sure.
That we pay attention to, that this nation pays attention to, that the world pays attention to. You know that.
Isn't that curious?
You're a former athlete, just like myself. High level.
Isn't it
people pay attention to that. And when guys take that platform and use it as a forum, what could be better than that?
I can't think of anything.
What could be more important than that?
We've had black leaders who have those in politics. And,
yes.
And social change. And have disrupted a lot of things that's typical in the body politic. And yet, we remember people like Jackie Robinson, Muhammad Ali. Athletes, as you mentioned.
Exactly.
Which shows you that they have a grand stage. They have a huge voice amidst this entire climate. And I am proud personally with how some of these youngsters have positioned themselves. A LeBron James, a Dwayne Wade, a Carmelo Anthony, young sister from Japan. Would you give me a break? What's her name?
Naomi Osaka?
Something like that.
Something like that,
makes it clear, unambiguously, that she's feeling it from a soul and cultural perspective, and she ain't taking it, if you will. She would like to express her unity and her solidarity with this movement, man.
And
that's huge. That's huge.
That's unprecedented.
It is. It is.
In a sport like tennis.
Come on. Quiet sports.
Yes. Conservative sport.
Oh, God.
Yes.
And there's going to be blowback.
Always
that,
blowback.
Probably. Sponsorships and or those voices and powers to be within that damn environment called tennis. But
something is changing.
Think about it. Think about it.
I feel something in the air.
What do you think it is? Name it. Yeah, I'm feeling it too.
I feel something. You know when I started feeling something in the air? I knew something was up. I'm very aware of certain things, Mel. Very aware.
I'm with you. I can't name it. It's nondescript to me right now, but it feels differently, if you will.
I was questioning things for a minute. But then I got up one morning.
All right.
I had my television on. I was looking at ESPN. You know what I saw?
Yes, sir.
They said Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones got up on the right side of the bed.
How about that?
Can anybody believe? That's when I was like.
He must have drank some phenobarbital the night before.
Something's going on, man.
Yes. A movement, and somebody said this, I'm not sure who, one great critic said this, was something to the effect of, I'm going to butcher it, I'm sure, but something to the effect of, nothing is more powerful than a idea whose time has come, if you will. It's sweeping.
Well, that's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling. And you know something, Mel?
Yes, sir.
I'm a part of it.
Hmm.
I'm a part of it, bro.
Mm-hmm. I could report it.
On a weekly basis.
All right.
I've been laying it down, Mel.
All right. You out here touching with it.
I have to come.
You're touching with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
I do 5 podcasts a week. 1 radio show.
Busy man.
And one of my podcasts, I don't know if I've ever told you about it, but it's called Black and White.
Okay. I like the noise.
Where we discuss things from a white perspective and a black perspective. And we try to come to a medium. Because cultures, sometimes people don't know other people's culture.
Isn't that curious?
You know the people, but you don't really know the culture. So when you start to question the culture, hard to question something that you really don't know anything about.
Big fella, after 400 years. After 400.
That's the most amazing thing right there.
We don't know each other.
Because you've been looking at things from the outside in, not from the inside out.
My
So
God.
you have a certain curriculum about what you're watching,
My God.
or what you're listening to, or what you're reading about. Because the same people and the same books and the same education that indoctrinates me indoctrinates you.
Huh. Assembly line kind of
They ain't the same.
approach.
You see what I'm saying?
Think about that.
So, our podcast has went from nothing to something
There you go. There you
in
go.
about 6 months.
Huh. Are you getting good viewer feedback?
crazy.
Yeah. Off the chain.
Because you know, people look at me and they go, "Oh, I thought he just knew how to beat people up." Well, no. Yeah, I do know how to beat people up, but I also know how to strategically beat you up.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Beating people up is an art form.
Yes.
You just don't get up and know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? You play basketball.
Absolutely.
You remember all the years of training?
Sure.
It's an art form. Some people just think you just roll out the bed and, no, brother, it ain't like that.
It takes years of training.
Oh,
It takes
man,
years
it's
of
mental.
conditioning. It's psychological.
It's all mental.
Yes, it is. By all
So
means.
you take all of that, take everything you've learned, take all your travels, all your meeting people all around the world, and you put that together. One big bowl of gumbo.
Think about that.
What you got. Because I see things for what they are. And I got an open mind.
Black and white.
Black and white.
Listen, Stevie, several years ago, I stood in the streets of Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Better you than me.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'm not standing in the streets
Huge
of Sao
city.
Paulo, Brazil.
Huge city.
You know what I'm saying?
It's more than a notion.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd better understand where you are.
Yeah, but you see the guy from the Olympics get robbed down there?
Sure.
You know, I'm like,
several of them. By one guy. Listen, that's another discussion entirely.
Okay.
But I stood there understanding that,
Okay.
but for this little round rubber sphere in my hand,
Right.
that probably wouldn't ever be. That was the same thing in Brussels, Brazil.
Yeah.
Bruxelles, if you will, in Brussels, Belgium. However, what I did notice, and it wasn't so subtle, is that irrespective of that culture being Brazilian, if
Yes.
you will, cosmopolitan,
Yeah.
those who tended to suffer socially, those who tended to fall somewhere in the fulcrum of economics, look like me. A million miles away, man.
Yeah.
And they look like me, and they're dealing with similar kinds of social conditioning.
Right.
I think I became a sports sociologist at that moment, if you will. And we have to arrive somehow at a better understanding of what's needed. White Americans are going to have to learn a skill, acquire a skill that they've heretofore never been required to have, and it's called collaboration.
Okay.
Demographics are changing rapidly. All demographers are letting us know that somewhere in this next 30 to 40 years, perhaps white Americans have become something of a class minority in terms of ethnicity in this country.
If you look at the stats, that seems like things are going that way.
Wow.
What, the next 20 years, I said? 20, 25 years? Something like that?
That's rapid. That's rapid.
But the way I look at it is this. Power is power. Whether it's a few or many.
And power is self-perpetuating.
Yes.
you get power to acquire more power, if you will.
Yes, absolute power.
Yes.
It's contagious. People love it.
Well, here we are amidst what people are referring to as a colossal pandemic.
Yes.
With an election coming up that's
Yes.
tenuous at best. Steve, what do we do, my man? What do we do?
You know, what are we doing today? First annual voter registration.
Voter registration.
Midtown Bar and Grill.
By all means.
That is what we are promoting today.
Huh.
For people to come down, get registered to vote, go out and do what we all should do as Americans, constitutionally.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And vote to make change.
Here's a subtlety that I want to just sort of interject in here if I could. This is the big 4-year circus.
Yes.
If you wait until we see this, it may be too late. You know, all politics are local, some famous politicians said. And
sometimes that can be more important.
Absolutely.
To certain communities.
You bet.
You know what I was doing today before I came over here?
Okay. Let me in on it.
You know I'm into local politics.
And I'm sure somebody...
I try to make a difference. I was doing a food drive for one of the local politicians today.
Wow.
I don't want to mention the name.
Okay.
They didn't pay me to promote them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had, I'd sneak it in. But I'm not.
I'm sure you would.
But that's what I was doing today. A food drive for the less fortunate.
How about that?
I mean,
it's important stuff.
Local stuff, but very important.
I come from the perspective that you have to perhaps think globally, but act locally.
Right.
Your homeowners association,
right.
Your mud district, your school district. These little organizations have taxing authority, man.
Tell me about
they
it.
can make a difference in
Hey,
your
I've
life.
been through it.
And the ideas that somehow are developed there find their way up to the State House.
Yeah.
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 Which eventually finds its way into public policy.
Exactly.
Boy, come on.
Come on, bro.
So
that's why, you know, when we do what we do, when we put these people in office, you have to hold their feet to the fire.
Keep hearing that.
Yeah, man.
You guys agree with that? You guys agree with that? I heard somebody give you an amen. By all means. By all means.
We have to. Because I heard some people talking earlier. Can't remember exactly what was saying. Where they said the politicians only come around when it's election time. That's why.
That's very true.
They come around because you are complacent with what they do. Take them. Do not take them at their word. Take them at their action.
There you go.
And you hold their feet to the fire. Because the only way you're going to get change is to demand it.
Absolutely.
And when they don't do what you expect for them to do and they promise to do, you get rid of them.
Simple as that.
Yes. Don't be like the Roman Empire.
Huh.
I fed you good. I entertained you good. And you forgot about what I was doing to you. That's what we see in American politics, state, local, national, all the time. Because everybody too busy to look and see what's really going on.
So it's just a variety show, and we get lost somewhere in there, huh?
Man, variety or reality?
I hear you.
Carol Burnett was variety. Real Housewives.
We're going to hear him that kind of songs. I'm reading you.
I think, you know, but I think somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah.
In the middle of both of them.
Yeah.
And is that what we are? Is that what we are? Where we are right now?
I think that defines us, sort of. It truly does. We've gotten, I think, deliberately sort of complacent, and we're sort of disinvolved to a large degree. But it's set up that way. It's designed that way. It's, as I mentioned earlier, it's there to re-perpetuate itself.
Yes. Yes.
And keep you at arm's length. Feed you like mushroom, and consequently,
Well, you know me, Mel. I don't know about you. I don't know about all the other participants that are here for Edge Radio TV. I'm not wooed by the optics. I'm not, in essence, I'm listening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In essence, I'm comprehending. And in essence, I'm going to listen to what you say, and I'm going to remember what you said.
There you go. You're not buying into the clown show.
And when things don't take place, I will remind you.
I love it. I love it. 20 minutes after the hour, we're talking with Big Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm your
Not
host,
Vaughan,
Big Mel. And,
but it's Stevie Ray.
You really like Stevie Ray.
A lot of people used to call me that.
Why not?
I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wait a minute, dog. I don't play a guitar.
And you weren't supposed
with
to
a
make
feather
that.
in my hat.
You weren't supposed to make that distinction. We're supposed to move right on. You know? We'll be back
I
in a
love the
moment.
guy, though.
We've been out of control since we got hit back in March 2020. Mortality rates keep climbing. Infection rates go up and down and then back up again. How long will this go on? No clear answer. Will a vaccine even be effective as this virus continues to spread and to mutate? No clear answers there either. I'm a trained nutritionist, herbologist, personal trainer, behavior modification and stress sciences expert. I'm also a COVID-19 and pneumonia survivor. I've watched the continuous wall-to-wall news coverage, and while yes, wearing a mask and social distancing are crucial now, you're not being given important tools that you need in order to fortify your first line of defense, your best line of defense, which is your own immune system. What's going on here? There are simple, affordable, and natural ways to help build your immune system to fight any virus or bacteria now, and it starts inside of you. That's why I need to invite you to join me for Beyond the Mask, an intimate talk about vital ways to immediately begin boosting your immune system. Are you worried about the potentials of a second wave? Are you concerned now that your immune system may not be strong enough? Let me show you now the changes that will allow you to optimize it. Let me show you how to maximize your exercise benefits in a 12-minute routine that you'll do every other day to easily increase your metabolism, strengthen your respiratory and immune systems, and give you better circulation throughout your body. Listen, sugar feeds both bacteria and viruses. Let me show you ways to kick that sugar addiction now and to get some weight off. Let me share with you keys to better nutrition that boosts your immune system. We are all under too much stress, and stress weakens your immune system. It single-handedly leaves you vulnerable to all kinds of health issues and infections because stress reduces your immune cell numbers and their ability to function. Let me show you tools that you'll easily integrate into your daily life now to naturally reduce your stress cortisol response. I also want you to know about some nutritional supplements that have been shown to naturally improve your immune system and your overall health. Since January, there have been over 700 studies released worldwide on the relationship between COVID-19 and vitamin D3 deficiency. You need to know why. You want to improve your own immune defenses now, want to take back your control? Sign up today for Beyond the Mask and join me as I give you information and tools to easily get you back on track towards a healthier overall immune system now.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
America was established by immigrants, for immigrants. Those who came to escape religious persecution, bigotry, and hatred. Visionaries who came to start a life of freedom, but somehow we lost our way, enslaving people of color, destroying the land and culture of the indigenous people, and claiming ownership of land that our Creator made for all people to enjoy.
What have we learned in 400 years? Sadly, the sickness of the past still plagues us in the present. Until those who choose to hate stop fearing anyone different from themselves, the disease will persist. But there is a cure. We must realize.
I am the same as you. I bleed the same blood.
I cry the same tears.
I laugh the same laugh.
I love the way you laugh.
And want to be accepted just as you do.
I may not be the same skin color as you.
And I may not pray to the same God.
But I am enough.
But I am enough.
But I am enough.
Enough to be heard.
Enough to be respected.
Enough to be loved.
Enough to be equal.
Enough to make a difference.
I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough.
Change is up to you. No matter your age, race, religion, or sexual orientation, take a stand. If you're in the presence of someone spewing hate from their heart, say something. Be vocal. Don't stand for that kind of ignorance. True change cannot be achieved with silence. Educate your family and friends who want to help but aren't sure how. It's time to stand up and become the change we want to see in the world. Together, we can make a difference.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Simply Tennille here, live from the voter registration drive at 415 West Gray Street at Midtown Bar and Grill. The edge is getting edgy and it's your girl. You know I am here and we have so many things to talk about. I just wanted to liven it up for a second, get on the air in front of everybody. We need to definitely talk about why you, Miss Lady, came to support the voter registration drive today. So first tell everybody who you are.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Cheyenne Cudjoe, and I am a visual artist. So, of course, the topic of conversation with voting is always about getting your voice heard. And that's also the same with visual arts, just in a different way. A lot of times with visual arts, you're speaking without words, but it's just as important to express yourself both at the voter booth as well as in your individual life.
Express yourself. Yes. Y'all know that I am phenomenal at that. I'm just saying, I do exactly that every day. I can't help but be myself, and I definitely want my voice heard. I want each and every one of you to take this super serious right now. You know, we tried to get lots and lots of, you know, the young kids, the first timers out to register to vote, because really that is a super duper important part.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
We're on the verge of, you know, the economy crashing and all different types of things. You have to have your voice heard so that you can survive through these times. The politicians that you put in place right now will be those very people who make the decisions. Every single decision that has to do with whether or not you're going to jail for, you know, pickpocketing such and such because you didn't have money to pay your bills. Yeah. Like, that is exactly how it works. Yeah. If those people are not on your team, you need to make sure you vote for somebody who you can hold accountable for not doing the things that they say that they're going to do. That is one of my platforms that I stand on. Start holding these people accountable. It doesn't matter to me which way you vote. I want you to get out there, let your voice be heard, and have a little fun with it. And that's what we're going to do with this lady right here. She said she's a visual artist. So tell us a little bit about what it is you do and why you feel it's so important to be able to express yourself not only through words, you know, but you got to put those ballots, right? Yes. So tell us a little bit about how you express yourself through art.
So I'm all about raising awareness and increasing consciousness, and I do that in visual format. So a lot of my work, I decide to use either watercolors or
Is that your favorite?
My favorite kind
watercolors seem a little messy. You like to get your hands
You know,
dirty?
It's such a dichotomy because it has so much freedom, but you can also be very controlled with it. So it is a challenge to utilize a lot of times. That may be why I like it.
Okay.
But I also do acrylic and oils, and I do like to get my hands dirty with some woodwork and some carpentry. So I do have my set of power tools. Yes.
Okay. So everybody, you see how important it is when you do hone in on a skill. You need to be diverse in that thing. We need to be diverse in making our decisions. Listen to me. It is so important that you do your own research. I'm in media, as you can see, but I can't believe half of the things that other media things put out there, right? Oh. You have to go and do your own research. You need to know who's actually out there working. The Edge Radio, we're here. We're in the community right now. We've invited several people out to come and speak to you and tell you what's the real and what's going on. And then you got to hold them accountable once they do what they say they're going to do.
Absolutely. I think just as important as doing your research and understanding who you're voting for, I think it's equally important to do the research on yourself, understand who you are as a person. And you talked about being real and expressing yourself for who you are. I think so many people are afraid to do that. They're afraid to be themselves for fear of judgment, for fear of ostracism, for whatever the case may be. But I think in order to really truly be able to get behind our political leaders, you need to get behind yourself, know what you stand for individually, and then you can find that in a political leader.
And definitely know the hard-hitting topics that affect your community and where you live, because that's a hard thing. You know, it took me forever. I was living here and I couldn't understand, you know, why I couldn't vote for the mayoral campaign, you know, what's going on. But I actually live outside of the city limits up near Tomball, so you know they don't allow us, but it took research to be able to find that out. I was confused. If you're feeling any of that kind of confusion, I'm sure that one of these shows here at the Edge, because we have something for everybody, one of these shows will get you to the place that you need to be. So we're going to keep talking about art. You know, kids are back to school, whether it's virtual or, you know, in classroom. We're going to talk about them going to school, learning the art, lots of art forms being taken out of the schools right now because of funding and different reasons. Why do you feel it's important to have art in schools?
Honestly, I think it's the most important, especially with the younger generations. Their vocabulary and their ability to express themselves verbally is not quite there yet, but even as a young kid, you're able to draw exactly what you're feeling. So to take out the arts, whether that be visual arts, whether that be music or theater, the ability to express themselves in lots of different ways, I believe is critically important, and giving them different modalities to do that, because again, everybody is different and not everybody communicates the same way. So they need to be exposed how to express themselves by being exposed to diverse ways of doing that.
All right. Did you hear that? Diversity.
Yes.
Tell everybody a little bit about where you're from and how you came to, because you could pick several different types of art.
Yeah.
What kind of let you know that painting was your thing, if you will?
Well, I've always been interested in the arts. I actually started off going to college to be a doctor, and then I had an art minor. But painting specifically, I felt I was able to do a variety of different things. I can paint on a flat surface, I can paint on something sculptural, I can paint something realistic, I can paint something abstract. So I liked the freedom of being able to do that, and I think I'm most comfortable with a brush in my hand.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So what do you do outside of painting to relax?
I work out.
Oh, well, all right. Y'all can't see behind this podium, but girlfriend is working it, okay? So that's fun. Right now during this time, staying in a healthy mental headspace is another big thing. Art is one of those things that you can do that. Working out is one of those things that can do that. Just to talk to people in regards to art forms and helping people mentally, what's one of the things that they kind of suggest that people get into during a time like this? We're in a pandemic, we're voting in a new president or not, if you will. What's one of the things that they suggest that you do to keep you in that mental headspace when it comes to art?
There's lots of different things. I talk to a lot of people about being an artist, and the first thing that they say is, oh, I could never do that. My stuff would turn out terrible. So little things like doodling, I mean, that is an art form. That's very relaxing.
Some of the most terrible pieces, though, turn out to be the best things. Everybody else is like, man, that's amazing. And you're like, I just scratched that out,
They also have, adult coloring books now, which I think are really cool. So mandala type things, just very meditative, relaxing. Fun things like, again, maybe not with the pandemic, but things like painting with a twist, group type format. So you can do that with a spouse, you can do that with a friend.
And still social distance.
Absolutely.
I mean, that is a perfect option.
Yes.
And get a little drink on the side.
I just think taking away the expectation of what that piece is going to turn out like. I think so many people stress about the end product and they forget about the journey. They forget about the process of painting, and it's the process that becomes very relaxing. So you can do colored pencils, you can use crayons. For me, all art is acceptable. So whether that be craft or whether that be what's considered fine art like oil painting, you can get involved in any way and it still be art and relaxing to the mind.
Okay, well, let's say this to the parent out there who's always saying, I don't want my child to be a starving artist, because I love to encourage kids to do different things, but I also really love to talk about the business side of things. I'm a business person. I'm driven toward getting the dollar. Okay. So tell me, is this your full-time gig, or do you do something else on the side, to keep yourself afloat? Let us know what's going on here from the business side.
Yes. So I have lots of different passions, but art has a very big priority in my life. So I'd say that's probably about 50% of my income.
Okay.
And then the other 50% is another business that I have with my husband in regards to helping heal the environment with solar.
Oh, well, great. That sounds interesting too.
But
She's got a little brain and a little art.
I would encourage all of the parents out there that have children that are interested in pursuing the arts to encourage them. I am working very, very hard to get rid of the mindset of a starving artist, because that is what it is. It is a mindset.
Okay.
There are so many arts out there, and art is being sold every single day. So the ability to make money in the arts is there. All of it is just about a mindset.
Okay.
Asking the question, how?
And we talked about this behind the scenes just a little bit. You know, I know a lot of y'all may not know I have 7-year-old twins. Yes. They are very much already going to YouTube, learning how to draw different things on, and that's why I thought that this was really interesting and something that we needed to talk about, because it gives them a release. They are watching a lot of computer nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. If you can pull them away for 20 minutes, if it is, you know, because school is all day on the computer, then they want to play the video games all night, you know, you got to find a way to pull them apart. And, you know, hand painting and stuff like that is very interesting for young kids. They like doing stuff like that. Find a way to pull them away from the screens. Okay, absolutely. So art is a perfect way to do that. I want to encourage everybody to follow you on social media as well. So tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
So social media, both Instagram and Facebook, Elvin Original Art is where I can be found. I do a lot of commission work, and I also do a lot of just personal made work. So I can be found there.
Last thing, how did you get hooked up with The Edge today?
So The Edge, I was introduced to Oscar. So my wonderful husband actually met Oscar, and I had the pleasure and opportunity of becoming part of it. So
all right, ladies and gentlemen,
love what he stands for.
Okay, so remember that The Edge is here for everybody. We are not set down to one thing. We are broad and open-minded. We want to talk about all of those topics that you guys have out there. We definitely need y'all to pour those into us. Make sure you follow the Edge Radio Network, which is where we are here today with Miss Cheyenne, and we're talking all about art. We're going to let it go because there's so many other interesting people that we have to introduce you guys to today. I am simply Tennille on social media, on Instagram. I like everybody to follow that page because I don't have to worry about trying to delete somebody for you to come on. So ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the Edge Radio Network. I am the host of I'm Just Saying. You can catch me at 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, and we'll be back.
This is former Rocket Robert Reed.
This is Mel Hewitt of Athletes Unite.
And we want to talk to you about our new program and podcast. We're talking about former athletes who are doing a lot of things in the community.
Various athletes in various sports. Swimming, track, soccer, football, baseball, you name it.
Former and current athletes here in the greater Houston area.
All promoting wellness, health. All promoting that which makes us all better.
Of Edge Radio, truth still matters.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio.
Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. EDGE, because truth still matters.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring.
America was established by immigrants, for immigrants, those who came to escape religious persecution, bigotry, and hatred. Visionaries who came to start a life of freedom, but somehow we lost our way, enslaving people of color, destroying the land and culture of the indigenous people, and claiming ownership of land that our Creator made for all people to enjoy.
What have we learned in 400 years? Sadly, the sickness of the past still plagues us in the present. Until those who choose to hate stop fearing anyone different from themselves, the disease will persist. But there is a cure. We must realize.
I am the same as you.
I bleed the same blood.
I cry the same tears.
I laugh the same laugh.
I love the way you laugh.
And want to be accepted just as you do.
I may not be the same skin color as you.
And I may not pray to the same God.
But I am enough.
But I am enough.
But I am enough.
Enough to be heard.
Enough to be respected.
Enough to be loved.
Enough to be equal.
Enough to make a difference.
I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough. I am enough. I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough.
Change is up to you. No matter your age, race, religion, or sexual orientation, take a stand. If you're in the presence of someone spewing hate from their heart, say something. Be vocal. Don't stand for that kind of ignorance. True change cannot be achieved with silence. Educate your family and friends who want to help but aren't sure how. It's time to stand up and become the change we want to see in the world. Together, we can make a difference.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge.
I'm trying not to lose my head.
Hey, this is the Talk About Unity show where I bring the talk.
And I bring the unity.
And together we talk about unity. Unity is what matters.
Come on.
And right now in our country, that's what we've got to do. So we do that here at Talk About Unity on the Edge Radio Network. Be with us every week.
It's going to be awesome. It always is. And I tell you what, the more we seek first to understand, then be understood, we make progress.
And we like to do that. And that's why everybody's on the brink. We love what we do at Edge Radio because everybody's on the edge. We bring them back from the edge and we bring the unity. So we're just glad to Edge Radio Network every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Talk About Unity because here at Edge Radio Network, truth still matters.
Hey, 大家好，我是傅凯，这是我的好朋友 Chris Holland。
I'm Chris Hollins, your Harris County Clerk.
Yes， 9月26号礼拜六下午4点钟以后，你可以到我们这个 Midtown Bar and Grill， 这个城中间有一个酒吧，我们大家来庆祝，我们可以来做选举，可以就是 register， 也可以注册，然后选举，然后我们有一些画展，有些音乐表演现场，所以大家不要忘记了，最好赶快来参加我们的这个很好的节目，还有很好的意义，所以大家可以一起见面谈一谈选票的事情，然后的话，大家可以享受音乐、食物，还有画艺术这方都集中在一起呀。不要忘记了，9月26号礼拜六下午4点钟以后到10点。
Hope to see you there.
Yeah， 谢谢。
Good evening. We're live in the Midtown Bar and Grill in beautiful downtown Houston, and I'm joined today by Mr. Carlin and Mr. Richard. How are you two today?
Oh, we're great. Good.
Glad to have you on. So I want to ask you guys, we've got an eclectic group up here. What do y'all think? Back in the last decade, towards the end, 2007, 2008, 2009, people thought race relations were on the mend. Do you think that things have changed decade to decade? And if so, how and why? How can we correct course if we need to? I'll start with you, Mr. Carlin.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I've definitely got an opinion on that. Of course, I'm the executive director of Erase Race, which is a concept I came up with a few years ago where I said race is the villain and we kind of need to do away with that concept. And so I've been analyzing this definitely over the last decade and more. And while people have seen some improvement, I think people have had high hopes when once President Obama was elected, thought all things were changing. But I kind of saw this subculture that was developing where every decade I noticed that we had some riots. The tension would come up and it'd go back down. And that was still the trend even under President Obama. And we had several incidences, racial incidences during the Obama tenure. And so I've seen it continually on, and it's been going up. And then, of course, in 2016 with the election of President Trump, it continued to just escalate. And so I think we kind of got here through a series of events and our history that has not been corrected. There are a lot of things, and a lot of it has to simply do with the interaction that we failed to have. In other words, we legislated the things that made us integrate, but we never really built the relationships necessary between each other to go forward in our country. So I don't think we've really made the progress, and now is another opportunity for us to do that.
Man, Mr. Carlin's a deep thinker. I love listening to your show, Erase Race. It's always phenomenal. Mr. Richard, what do you think? Do you think we're getting better, or do you think we're getting worse?
Well, I've been around, I think, longer than everybody up here, and I was a cop in Miami in the 60s. I worked for the Miami Police Department. So I went through the racial tension that was down there in 1968. I don't think the core problems have ever changed since then. And I think...
What would those core problems be?
Well, the core problem is that, I mean, currently we have a middle class that's disappearing, but I think with the black race, there were people that were relegated to being poor and have been kept poor by politicians since I can remember.
How have politicians been keeping people poor? It's an interesting claim.
It's amazing that our politicians are living in 6,000 square foot homes and they have bodyguards and they drive fine automobiles and they go to Congress and they get all this money allocated for places like Miami and Baltimore and Detroit. And yet that money disappears and they continue to live the good life, the politicians that have no term limits.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are on the street stay on the street. They don't get any benefit out of it. And everything becomes political. Politicians on both sides, some have good ideas, some have bad. I've always thought that school choice was a great idea, but every time it comes up, it somehow gets beaten down. Mm-hmm. And I think when Obama became president, what it did is it gave great hope to the black race that a black man could be president. However, he got there and he didn't do anything for the black race that I could see.
Well, with a lot of these politicians, and that's an interesting point, a lot of these politicians, what I see them doing is, and I saw your face light up. I want to get your reaction to that in just a minute.
Yeah, you were moving.
I want to get your reaction. I want to get your reaction. But I'll throw my 2 cents in here. And I love these conversations. If you guys don't tune in to When Opinions Collide on Thursdays, 11 to 12, we have these conversations all the time. But my limited experience and take, my research is just kind of points to, I think if we are dividing people based on superficial external characteristics, anytime you divide people based on not on values or beliefs, but you divide and group by superficial external characteristics, you are going to put someone in the hole. If you value people as God-imbued, valuable people, God imbued this value into the human being when he created us, if you don't have some sort of sense of a higher power. There was someone in, I forget if it was Uganda, I forget the nation, but he said, he's an atheist, a strong atheist, but he said the Christian moral that there's something, anything that says there's a higher value would save our country. And that country's gone further and further. We have to have some sort of higher value to seek. And
I think you have to judge people on who they are as opposed to what they are.
The content of the color, or the content of the character, not the color of the skin. But I want to come back to real quick.
Okay, yeah.
Because I saw your face.
I want to advance this conspiracy theory because it plays off of what he was saying. And he was basically, that these people, the politicians, are there for themselves and the poor people stay poor and everything kind of stays the same. I want to advance that this way because I really think that's very much true. Because one of the things, and I blame public education for not giving us more critical thinking so that we really think deeply about these things and we can begin to make assessments based on reality. And so public education created us where we just kind of said, okay, yeah, just keep moving on, and we never have grown. But every time an issue, and one that we agree on 100% comes up, something distracts us. And I'll give an example, one that he used. He talked about term limits. I have never met an individual yet, and I've done this and I've asked people, what do you think about term limits? 100%. So there might be somebody here that says, I'm not for term limits, but I've 100%, everyone agrees on that. So the American people agree 100%. If that happens, and a politician, which happened last year, about 10 months ago, a politician brought that up and said, a senator said, we need term limits. Amazingly, this event happened, this huge, Black Lives Matter was funded, and now everybody argues over Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter. We argue about that, Absolutely. And we forget about the fact that everybody agreed on term limits, and nobody addresses that. So that's my conspiracy theory. I go, whoa, big distractor. And I think there's something to it.
Well, how do you line your pockets if you're limited in term?
Agreed.
As a politician.
Of course.
You have politicians that have been there for 40, 50, 60 years and have never done anything else in their life and have amassed this great wealth. Well, how do you amass that kind of wealth?
Yes.
Well, if you push what gets you wealthy, like the teachers union, or like big pharma, the cost of drugs. I mean, I went through cancer for 27 years.
So sorry.
I looked at some of the bills. Luckily, I had insurance. I looked at the bills. They'd give me an infusion. $52,000 for a quart of something.
Well, that's
now,
another conversation to have why the government shouldn't be involved in regulating that. But
right.
they're just bad at everything they do.
But it's all into the same bucket. And the problem that we have is the people that we put in Congress, in order to do something like term limits, you need a supermajority. 51 votes don't hack it.
Well, we've had supermajorities before and not gotten anything because certain people are beholden to special interests.
Exactly.
And if you look at it, whether you love or hate Ted Cruz, most people can get behind this when he said this. He said, most politicians, they weren't the cute one, they weren't the cool one, they were not the jock. They're old, losing their hair, and they're stupid, and they're 40 years old, and the only thing that they have is, yes, Senator, yes, Congresswoman, yes, whatever it is. They love that fame and that power. And so they'll do anything to stay in power, including promise the world and deliver nothing to the community that they swore to uphold their values.
That's true. And on the ideology side of that, there's a author, Isabel Wilkerson, who wrote a book called Caste, The Origin of Our Discontent. A book, it's number 2 on the bestseller list right now, which makes a really good case for where we are with this concept of race. And it basically says that we've built into America a caste system, and which I call race. She defers to it as race summit. If she said race the whole time, it'd be exactly my belief, because she says that, and it doesn't allow people to escape out of that situation. And so that kind of feeds into all this. It feeds into not just skin color, but how society sees you, and you can never escape that thing. So people who are down there, and politicians have a reason to keep them down there because they're in that class system. So.
And I forget who said this, but it was about the Greco-Roman Empire. They said the moment that people realized that they could vote themselves money was the doom of that democracy. I mean, we don't live in a democracy. We live in a democratic republic of representation to avoid that. To avoid the minority being overruled by the majority.
Which now has become somewhat worse if you look at what's going on during this pandemic. Now we have fiefdoms that are built in cities where mayors now have the ability to say, you can or cannot do this, or you can or cannot have that. Cuomo came out the other day and he said, because he hates Trump, but he said, I don't believe what he says about a vaccine, so he's going to hold 8.5 million people in New York hostage until he's sure that this drug is okay for them. Last time I looked, we were in the United States. Why can't I make my decision whether I want to take it or not?
Yeah, so that's an interesting conversation on sadism. We could get into the COVID thing. I'm hoping to have some doctors to come on and talk about that, but absolutely.
I could act like a doctor.
I don't play one on TV either.
So
what do you think about that? The whole situation with COVID, there are folks who blame that on, they said that because it affects certain populations more, it is a racist, or it's a race issue that is causing that.
Yeah. And so once again, and race is a catch-all for everything that happens. First of all, you don't get to double down on it simply because you use it in the first place. If you have people segregated and separated based on skin color, and then if the hurricane comes into town and it hits one particular part of the town, then it would get a large majority of that percentage of the population because they're all together. So we've doubled down on it by, first of all, installing racial ideas, racial practices, segregation, and so anything that happens then becomes race. And so it furthers, it makes everybody go, wow, it reinforces the fact that, wow, race is real, because they look at the results. from what they've done.
Well, it's confirmation bias primarily.
Bias.
But then if you want to talk about systemic discrimination, obviously we had real systemic discrimination not in a lot of people's recent memory. I mean, as late as the 60s and 70s, 80s. But some people say there's systemic discrimination today, and I don't know if I would agree with it in the term of the 60s or 70s, but I think there's a new sort of situation that LBJ brought in when he started pushing, you can have this welfare check if the man's not in the house.
Yes.
You can have that. So what are your thoughts? I'm going to go to you and to you, and we'll come around.
Well, two things. The first one is when you say systemic. Systemic basically could also mean that we've got poor leadership.
I agree.
So I would
Amen.
call, that's what's systemic. If you've got poor leadership, then they will continue to do the same old things, and they don't fix the problems of a bad system.
Because they want to run the same issue.
Yes, because a good leader will fix a bad system. I mean, you look at the system of slavery that we had. We got Abraham Lincoln, and that went away. Now people argue about that, but it went away. So that's the answer to that. And so I think you can do that. And then the fact that the follow-up, what was your other point you were talking about?
So I was saying, ultimately, LBJ setting it up so that the man could not be in the home to receive welfare and targeting the black community specifically.
Yeah, and so while you have a bad system on that side where he was doing those things, there's also some responsibility for the family and for the home, for people to say, okay, but I'm responsible.
Oh, you mean people have agency?
People have agency. My mom and dad were married 60 years, and they understood that it was their responsibility. We didn't get to use any of that stuff as an excuse. Nothing was an excuse. But now, government is dad. Government is dad. And so,
Daddy, Uncle Sam.
And so I can go and say, government, dad, you owe me this. And we make that when we fight for it.
What do you think? That's a lot to come up on.
I saw a movie, an older movie, a Netflix thing during pandemic,
Sure, a lot of that going on.
Jingo. And what stuck out, I mean, there was a lot of violence and all of this, but what really stuck out to me was that when he came in and destroyed the plantation, he destroyed the master, all the slaves that had a built-in caste system that was set up by the white master. They didn't know what to do. They were freed, but they had nowhere to go and nothing to do. And what I think politics has done is they're created that same caste system like with LBJ. The more children you have, the more welfare you get. But you can't have a nuclear family.
We want a voting block.
And so now you have these children that have no father figure, and you create this
voting block
problem.
Yes. So this is a really interesting conversation. I think I don't know if we're coming up on a break, and who knows? We may or may not be back when this commercial break is done. We're just sort of rotating through.
I think Vince said we're done.
Vince says we're done. So I want to thank you both for coming on. How can people reach you?
Oh, hey, I'm at Erase Races on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm at eraseraces.com on the website. Go there and get ready to think critically.
All right, Richard, 20 seconds. Where can people reach you?
I only have like home phone numbers.
Well, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
So, he's 75. I mean, what do you expect?
Well, my name is John Arthur Fiala. I am with When Opinions Collide. You can find us here at this station on Thursdays from 11 to 12 now, at Opinions Collide on the Twitter. Thank you all for joining us, and you have a wonderful evening. Come join us at the Midtown Bar and Grill. We still got some party left tonight.
大家好，我是傅凯，这是我的好朋友 Chris Holland。
I'm Chris Hollins, your Harris County clerk.
Yes， 9月26号礼拜六下午4点钟以后，你可以到我们这个 Midtown Bar and Grill， 这是城中间有一个酒吧，我们大家来庆祝，我们可以来做选举，可以就是 register， 也可以注册，然后选举，然后我们有一些画展，有些音乐表演现场，所以大家不要忘记了，最好赶快来参加我们的这个很好的节目，还有很好的意义，所以大家可以一起见面谈一谈选票的事情，然后的话大家可以享受音乐、食物还有画艺术这方都集中在一起呀。不要忘记了9月26号礼拜六下午4点钟以后到10点。
Hope to see you there.
Yeah， 谢谢。
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Welcome to the Tony Talk Show. We are here on Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. on Edge Radio. Today's mission today, of course, is to bring awareness to voter registration. We're down here at Midtown Bar and Grill in Houston, Texas. Down here having a good time, getting people registered to vote so that your voice can be heard. I know a lot of you guys, you sit back and you complain. What? Complain about what's going on in this country, right?
Oh.
But you're not voting.
Hey.
Is something wrong with that, Robert?
Plenty. Your word is power.
I hate those folks, man, that sit around and, our government's doing this and but you're not voting. You're not registered to vote. You have never voted. I heard something today that was absolutely insane, but I was really happy about it as well. This is Mike Tyson's first time voting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that as well?
I did not, no.
You didn't hear that? Well, you know what? Before we get going real good, I better introduce you guys. So, of course, got Robert here from Heritage Contracting Services, right? Robert, why don't you tell us what you do? What is Heritage Contracting Services? What do you do?
We are a business that's been around 35 years, started in Florida. We are roofing, certified roofing contractor.
How long you been in the business? You've been in it for a while, haven't you?
35 years,
Yeah,
since
yeah.
before Hurricane Andrew in 1992. is when I started.
Wow.
Been through 28 hurricanes. I don't know.
What did you do
how many
before
tours.
that, though? I know you were an artist at one point, right?
Well, I'll tell you
played-
what. Well,
What?
I manufactured candles, actually.
Really?
Yep, I designed those few candle lines. I brought them to the marketplace, and I wound up in didn't think I was going to make it to 1,500 stores in 3 months.
Wow.
And I took a craft. I had to take the craft out of the craft, bring it to the production, and next thing you know, we were in Bed Bath & Beyond, Wicks and Sticks and Linens and things, and multiple catalogs and all that.
So you got out of that business.
Was in that business for 10 years.
Right, and got into the...
But I was into contracting before. My wife and I at the time got out of that, had an opportunity. Started in the garage, made it.
So you were in business with your wife at one time.
Right.
That's challenging. I'm
Right.
in business with my wife. We'll talk about that a little bit more
Work
as well.
comes home and home goes to work. Right?
Exactly.
But anyway.
Well, you know what? And you the thing about work is that, you know, when you're doing things that you love, it's not work. It's passion.
Sure.
And it never turns off. You know, that's the thing that's where I am. It never shuts off for me. I wake up with a mission, and I try to accomplish my mission before I lay my head down at night. So also we have a great guest here today, right? Jay Hansen.
Hassan.
Hassan.
Absolutely.
Hassan, tell us what you do.
Well, I came out to Houston to teach. I'm a speech teacher by trade. And, of course, Corona kind of shut the planet down.
When you said you came to Houston, Jay, where'd you come from?
I moved from El Paso.
El Paso, Texas.
Absolutely. And when I tell people what I do and what I teach, everyone has the same response. Oh, I hated that. I hated speech. Who wants to get up in front of people and talk? I get it.
You know what cracks me up when people say that? Every day you walk out of your house, you're getting in front of people and you're talking. What's up with that?
So everybody that I talked to, I hated that. You wouldn't hate my class. My classes were awesome. They were fantastic, and people liked getting up and talking because I would tell the kids at the beginning, first day, I do not care.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
What
What demographic of kids were you working with, though?
Oh, it was
were there teenagers?
Of course, it was high school age.
Okay.
So you're talking your seniors, your sophomores and juniors,
Right.
typically.
Right.
But I would tell them, I do not care what you think. I care that you think.
Whoa.
So if you're
stop. I want you to say that again.
Right?
Say that slow again. I love it.
I do not care what you think. I care that you think. And the main thing is, I didn't care if they disagreed with me on anything.
Right.
Call me an idiot. I don't care. Just I want to make sure your wheels are spinning. I want to make sure you are saying what's there.
You know, I'll tell you something, Jay. I think one of the biggest issues that we have in this country right now is that we don't critically think. We don't look at the whole before we make a decision on things. You know what I mean? It's always slanted. It's always slanted to my perspective. It's always slanted to my religion. It's always slanted to my political view.
Exactly.
It's never let me look at it for what it is. Let me make my own critical judgment in thinking about it.
Exactly, and that goes in with the confirmation bias. We're going to seek out information that confirms what we already think. So we can say, well, we're looking this up when we look this up, but you're really just looking for the parts that
you agree with,
that agree with you,
right?
So you can be right.
Right. Now,
well, that's a real big state of.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy. What he's saying is right. So.
Well, sure.
What is your perspective on that one?
Well, any new information, the first thing we want to do is balk. And a lot of our thinking has been handed down from generations to generations. So, along with everything we've talked about here on the show since I've been around tonight. And, it's just really at the personal level and at the local level is where we start making changes like you do in the classroom. We do at the door.
Right. Absolutely.
Tony and I met because he's involved in solar. I'm in roofing. So we got the cake and we want to put the icing on it.
Absolutely. It's a perfect match.
And we met at the gym, doing flies right at the corner there.
Absolutely.
And long story short, he took a picture of my card or my sign on my truck 2 months before that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And lo and behold, through, paying attention to your intentions about how you want to collaborate to dominate your industry, make a dream work, bam, we meet in the gym.
There it is.
Like most of us
and
here.
we both had the same mentors, pretty much.
Pretty much
the
the
same
same
people.
people.
It was like, it was
So
ridiculous.
the law of attraction was at work.
Well, what people don't understand, again, guys, today what we're actually talking about is we're talking about human optimization. Human optimization. How do you optimize yourself to maximize yourself to achieve the things that you desire in your life? How do you do that? You know, I came from a very, very, very tough background, a lot of challenges in my life. And I know one thing that I had to change my life and to change my condition. I had to change my mind. I had to change what I was thinking. I had to change living a life full of excuses. I had to take responsibility for what I was thinking, take responsibility for what I was saying, and then I could take responsibility for what I was doing. And then my life changed. And I know you and we talked about that. And you had to do the same thing, didn't you, Robert?
Well, I grew up in Miami in the 70s. I mean, if you don't think Tony Montana and all that stuff is real, if you ever see those documentaries.
When I talked to him in the gym, Jay, he was like, he told me how he used to live. I was like, are you serious, man?
Yeah.
You're not even supposed to be in front of me right now. You're supposed to be in prison or dead. One of those
chopped
two.
up in the last
Absolutely, you know. So to be able to see someone come from that type of lifestyle, because you know in that game, there's only two ways out.
That's it.
They play
jail
for
and
keeps.
death. And sometimes you might get jail and death. You're right.
That's it. And it'll be a blessing if you get locked up so you can get a chance to get out. But you still don't have to go down that road.
Right.
Sometimes we're products of our environment. Sometimes it's peer pressure.
Right.
I've been through a lot of heartaches in my life and ups
You
and
talked
downs
to me a lot
too.
about stinking thinking.
Oh yeah, and you know today for me, I don't think drugs are really an addiction. I don't think porn. I don't think any of these topics. I think mainly we're addicted to our thinking. And everything starts with a thought, and then everything comes out in the physical plane. So, alter your thoughts, alter your life. That's a great book by Emmett Fox.
Yes.
It was written back in the 50s. And they've been talking about that back before when some of us were born, trying to bring this new thought movement into where we pay attention to our intentions and we take every thought captive. And we don't have to own these thoughts are coming from somewhere. We're not born with this stuff. So it comes from, Pompous, it comes from the radio, it comes from the neighbor, it comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
And either we entertain it or we don't. And but I think today, in today's society, we're more towards taking every thought captive now. And there is a shift going on in the world.
Absolutely.
There's still some resistance and people that don't want to change, the naysayers, the haters, that don't want to flip
And those
over.
are the folks we need to get out of office. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. Those old way of thinking, those old ways of doing, just like what Richard Flom was talking about, we need to have term limits.
Exactly.
Okay, if I can get elected and stay there forever, that's not right. I mean, nothing in this
And it's
world.
it's not to my advantage for anything to ever change.
It won't.
So if I sit here, I can keep it going.
And
the
let me
right
ask you
way.
a question, Jay. Do you think that is the disparity right now that's going on? Why people are saying, "Hey, you know what? My voice doesn't matter."
It is.
Why should I vote, man?
Well,
You know, my one vote is not going to count.
There are a million different reasons, but of course, one of them is the winner-take-all system that we have per state with the electoral college. I mean, no matter how many votes the losing party gets in Texas or any state, the winning party is going to get all of the votes, even if it was a 50-50 split or 51-49. I mean, that's not representative of what the people wanted, but that's what happens. And the distinguished gentleman earlier was saying, well, the black vote is like, what, 80-90% Democratic. So we need to, but our neighborhoods and situations don't change. So we need to be strategic with our vote. Well, yeah, but black people haven't voted a lot.
Right.
And I get it. I'm not saying, oh man, it's terrible. You guys just don't vote. No. My grandmother voted once in her life. Once. Now, she was a sharecropper in Georgia as a little girl.
Wow.
Then moved to New Jersey in the Great Migration.
Right.
So she came up through all of it. So she votes for Kennedy. She was like, he's going to do something. And they shoot him.
Right.
And she says,
So now-
okay,
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get what you're going to do. If someone's going to do something, you're going to get them out of it.
Right.
So I get feeling disenfranchised and feeling
Absolutely.
helpless. But the one thing that you were saying is we've got to get rid of all this old thinking and old habits. I love the young generation right now. I absolutely love the young generation because they are doing something.
Well, they're questioning the way we're doing things.
They're questioning
critically
it,
questioning
and they're
it.
demanding answers.
And they should demand answers. And the thing about that is that I love the fact that they're questioning the way we're doing things.
Absolutely.
But they're questioning it in a way where they're saying, hey, you know what? There's a better way. There's a new solution. There's something else we could be looking at. Well, I have a problem when we're not looking at things the proper way. Right. And I believe to look at things the proper way is we have to look at things from a human perspective, not a black, not a white. We talk about this all the time in the gym. What you're like, all lives matter. Every single one of them, you know. And I have realized that, you know, in my business, I have a diverse line of employees, if you will. I have black, white, short, tall, fat. It doesn't matter. You know, I'm hiring people based off of their character and their ability to do the job. That's all I make my decisions based off of. I don't care what kind of car you drive, what neighborhood you live in, who your mama and your daddy was. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what is the color of your character. Are you going to bring positive energy to my company? And are you going to progressively think and help us to become better every single day? And I know that's one of the reasons why you and I connected on business, because you have the same principle, same philosophy.
And of course, and the gentleman that was speaking here earlier about, you know, the higher power, the universal pull, the you know, the definition of humility, having sense of receiving something through God's grace, that we are not the end all, that we are co-creating.
There's a bigger thing
with
going
the
on here.
right. We're creating with the creation. So stop worshiping so much the creation, but let's worship the creating. As we come together in a country divided and feel separate. Why would a man sit home today and it would be easy for him to say, you know, my vote don't matter. I'm going to go here.
You know, the greatest
when
time
it is there is power
Yeah.
in one vote.
Sure, absolutely.
We have to
Because
stand
one
for
vote-
something, or we're going to fall for
everything.
anything.
Absolutely,
So-
it's the truth. You know, it's the truth. And right now, we need to draw the line in the sand and say, this is what I stand for. This is what I believe in, and I'm not going to compromise on that. You know, I believe in unity. I believe that we all should have an opportunity to wake up in the morning and create the lives that we desire. And we live in a wonderful country where that possibility is there for us every single day. But once again, we have to understand who we are, you know, and until you really know who you are and where you fit in this world, how are you going to play a role in this world? How do you do that? You know, you're working with kids, you work with kids, right? And so you're nurturing them up, you're growing them up through speech.
Yeah.
And what do you think is the biggest, because I talk to so many people and they're like, Tony, you know, I have such a great fear of speaking, public speaking.
Of course,
you know,
and that's
why do you think
one of
that
the
is?
first. That's one of the first things we go over. We go over just about everything like first day. Like, you guys do not want to get up in here, and I get that. I absolutely. But the reason you don't is because you're hyper aware of what other people may be thinking, but they're not thinking about whatever they want to think. People are going to think what you tell them to think, and.
Do you think that's wrong or right?
As soon as I say that,
Yeah.
I always see the looks.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I say, see, you getting offended, you're not going to tell me what to think about.
Right.
Proves that you're thinking about what I just told you to think about.
Right.
Now use it to your advantage. If you don't want people looking at you, describe something visual. The brain is going to go there.
Right.
It has no choice.
Right.
The mind is complex. The brain is simple. You tell the brain what to do, it does it. It's going to.
Well, you know, that's and that's what we talk about through human optimization. You know, understanding the laws of your body. You know, there are certain laws that govern your mind. There are certain laws that govern your body. There are certain laws that govern this whole existence that we live in.
Right.
And for you to understand those laws and learn how to master those laws, then you can manipulate and change your life into anything that you desire, and you can help as many people as you desire to help. But at the end of the day, you got to know who you are and know why you are. We talked about
and
that.
chasing that almighty dollar is that, you know, the dollar is energy at a later date. So if you can find out who you are, what your passion
Exactly.
is, and you can
Yeah.
go out to a neighborhood, see somebody's need, go an extra mile, cut a few trees down, have a talk, see their desperation. I mean, the hurricane hit over there, and where I live, the power went out for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Where we live.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, I'm 200 miles from this,
Yeah.
and the grid went down over here.
Guess
So
what, Robert? We're all connected. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah,
Nobody
wants to
that.
see it. But I'll
We're-
tell you, after the tornado ended and everybody came out of the storm shelter to see the reality of it all, then you started seeing people come from everywhere who didn't want to hear nothing about a
So let me ask you,
pandemic.
when you knocked on their doors, you were down in Lafayette, down in Lake Charles. Did they ask you what your religion was? Did they ask
Nope.
you what your political
Didn't look at my
affiliation
color.
was? Were they happy to see that you were there
Yeah.
to help them? That's all that
Yeah,
mattered?
I mean, when the Good Samaritan group down there said we need flashlights and all that, and then you go there and they're like, well, here, I say, here's the flashlights. They're no, follow us. Well,
Wow.
they wanted you to get the experience. Not that you give it to them and then they give it to them. You go to the door and you see the need and you give it to them, and it's It's what you're seeking your whole life.
Amen.
It's,
Amen.
it's
There
helping
you go.
others.
Amen.
It's not the self-seeking.
And Jay, you know what, Jay? Right now, you're with Edge Radio, right?
That's right.
You're the account executive for Edge Radio.
Absolutely.
So, what is your mission now with Edge Radio?
Well, to help people out, to solve some of the problems that people have. They want to be able to reach different people.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to get on to do.
Right. So we're all about solutions here at Edge Radio. We want to bring you in. We want to bring consciousness. You know, truth matters here at Edge Radio. We will always tell you the truth. You know, we talk about my job is to tell you the truth. Your job is to make a decision to see if that truth fits in your life and if it fits for you. So, you know, once again, we're really glad to be here. We're glad that you guys are here with us. This is Tony Talk Radio, talking about human optimization. Once again, we're here Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. Robert, thank you so much for coming through. We appreciate it, brother, and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge.
Thank you.
Mr. Hassan,
you got it, Chief.
It's a blessing, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do.
Yes, sir.
Not only for our communities, but also what you're doing for Edge Radio. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, are you registered to vote, baby?
Of course.
Excellent. Are you registered to vote? Absolutely. Excellent. So am I. Everybody get registered to vote. It's our time, November 13th. Time for change. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. Tony Talks Radio, Wednesday morning, 11 a.m. Edge Radio. The truth matters. Stay tuned.